Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, bit of a later start. Not as late as I thought it was going to be. I genuinely thought that I wasn't going to be able to stream tonight. Main reason for that would be that I officially graduated. I believe the actual date is May the 13th that my degree was conferred, but it was the ceremony today. Didn't actually plan on going, but my dad came into town, and as parents are wont to do, they wanted to attend the ceremony, which means I needed to attend the ceremony. So it wound up, the ceremony wound up being the duration that I thought it would, but all of the other sort of associated business wasn't as long as I thought it was going to be, so I got home, needed to prep a couple of things, it actually turns out, a bit of a tussle regarding a game purchase that I had made at the Humble store, so I needed to deal with that. That's still pending. It's actually a story I will share because it's a point of failing on a company that actually has a fairly sterling reputation, so I think it's not a bad chance to sort of talk about the experience and where I think they could have done better. But what this has translated into is my week was a bit fuller than planned, and then I didn't have sort of the buffer that I thought I might to get the overlay for the basically the Mac bar. So unfortunately, this means that we're going to have another week with this infuriating white bar at the top of the screen. I do apologize for that. I think it's unsightly, and it makes some of the menus a little hard to understand. But rather than, I figure I'd probably go about another half hour later than I already was from the plan. And we do have a chance to get a full Crusader Kings 2 stream in tonight. So I opted to go for this unsightly bar and apologize. So while everybody's filing in, by the way, thank you for everybody who's stopped by. Jazzpoo, Leap Paste, I see you two in here. I'm sure there's other names which are just taking a while for Twitch to load. Always feel free to say hello inside if I haven't given you a greeting directly. This is usually just because the information that I'm working on is a little bit older than what it should be. I'll also justify the white bar in saying that, and reviewing the videos that I've seen, it's overcome any of the stuttering issues that I was having. So I think this is the way to go. Unfortunately, the Paradox titles don't have a very good way of incorporating the full screen mode into a Mac stream, but I've got, I have in principle a way of solving it that just requires a little bit more time than I had this week. So, while I'm complaining, let me talk to you a little bit about customer service and something awful that happened with Telltale Games. So, the Humble store has had a sale going on for the past few weeks. It's officially concluded, but they're doing an encore sale. So if you missed out on some of the deals, be sure to check out the Humble Bundle website and check out the Humble store. I believe if Crusader Kings 2 is not on sale, the DLC for it, at least the DLC that they have, is. So Way of Life has a discount. It's not enough for me to take the plunge. I'm going to hold out for the Steam sale, because in the end, it's very unlikely that the Steam sale is going to be less than what the Humble sale offers. And in the end, if the Humble sale turns out to be lower than what I had, lower than what I had expected, I just go without Way of Life longer. It's not, it'd be nice to have that game or that DLC, but I've been able to get by without it so far. And I definitely don't believe in paying too much for some of this DLC, given the track record that Paradox has. But as part of the sale, I saw a pretty handsome discount on Poker Night at the Inventory and Poker Night at the Inventory 2. Now, it turns out that for the original Poker Night at the Inventory, which is actually the title I was more interested in because, the heavy weapons guy is a really colorful character. Tycho from Penny Arcade is another one. I used to like Homestar Runner earlier. I haven't really seen that much of Strong Bad, so I wasn't going to cry if I didn't get a chance to see him. But just generally, a pretty fun group of characters. I had a favorable impression of Telltale Games, and for the discount that it was on, I thought it was worth a chance. Now, as it turns out, The Mac version of this game. Actually, you know what? I can bring it up on my browser. This might be a little bit better if I show it. Just give me 1 second here. I'll find a decent way of managing this. Ah, there we go. So, long story short, while this is... Oh, wait a minute. I can't load web pages while I'm streaming because I don't have the I don't have the bandwidth. What am I doing? So it's going to have to be an audio version of this. There is a problem with the original Poker Night at the Inventory. Apparently, past a certain OS, it's something like Mac OS 10.5, the game stopped working for some reason. This isn't entirely unexpected because Apple will basically push through an upgrade that they think makes their OS better. They don't care as much about backward compatibility as a company such as Microsoft. So this does mean that there can be situations where titles stop working. Hey, Raging 10-year-old. Great to have you back. So what... I think where this is most acutely felt, for me at least, is Dota 2, because generally what will happen is Valve will push out an update, but the update will be incomplete. So there's usually a bug that exists only for... I haven't started the game yet, actually, 10-year-old. I'm just covering the day's events, giving people a chance to file in, and then we'll be ready to slouch on. I keep using titles like Twilight of the Roses, but... I keep forgetting how slow the game gets at the end, so I have a feeling the Twilight of the Roses is going to be a very long period. But I got sidetracked. Long story short, the Poker Night at the Inventory does not work for anybody who keeps their OS up to date. Now, other companies need to deal with this. Generally what happens is you will have a bug that is persistent in a Mac client until, let's say, 1 or 2 upgrades, but generally these things get resolved. Now, Telltale is aware of this bug. There are 2 ways that they've decided to deal with this, which is, number 1, people started complaining in the forums about the bug. And they've basically, I mean, to their credit, they've at least been honest about this, but they're saying, we have no intention of patching the game to solve this. So, to a customer like me, who happens to like having, an updated OS, and... You're playing as the Byzantines and formed the Roman Empire? Well done, 10-year-old. To a customer like me who maybe doesn't want his operating system dictated by, this game that he wants to play, clearly that takes Poker Night at the Inventory off the table. Now, obviously, it's compatible with PC, but this is my machine, right? I've got OS Mavericks on my... OS 10 Mavericks on my computer. This is what I need to deal with. And as it turns out, this is too new of an OS for Poker Night at the Inventory to work. So, in addition to saying that they are not going to fix the problem, they have put on the Steam site, this game does not work with Mac OS past 10.5, so on and so forth. So what they've been doing is saying you don't get a refund because we've said on this Steam page that your OS is too new. If you want to request a refund, request it through Steam, and of course Steam's policy is basically don't give refunds. So up until this point, personally I tend to check system requirement things because I am a Mac user and I appreciate that it is not always easy to adapt for these things. But in this case, I bought it on the Humble Store. The Humble Store has no such disclaimer. The Humble Store only requires that you have OS 10.4 or whatever, or higher. And there's absolutely nothing on the page that indicates that this bug exists. So the only way, if you're somebody who doesn't buy it directly through Steam, the only way that you can know that the bug exists is by either going to the support forums at the very beginning, which seems to be a step beyond what I think is reasonable to ask of a customer, or you buy the game, you play it, then you go to the forums, and then you find out that basically the game has been abandoned and they do not ever intend on fixing this bug. And of course, because you've redeemed the key through the rules of Humble Bundle, I believe they will decline refunds in this case. Now, I submitted my request anyway, but This is actually one of the points where I don't know if I'm quite ready to cross the Rubicon of saying that I'm not buying Telltale games. I really liked The Wolf Among Us. I do have The Walking Dead, which I would like to, to play. But if this is, I mean, I'll be honest with you, to just put something in, not the system requirements, but the game description, the flavor text that talks about how fun this game is, that you have to have an outdated OS in order to play it. I'm already thinking that that's maybe a little too small of a step. If you are no longer supporting the game for the current version of the platform, this is the point where I think you should say, we're not selling this game for Mac anymore. Because honestly, how many people are going to downgrade their OS so they can play an old Telltale game title? But the thing that really bothers me here is the fact that, they're decline. Basically, they're outright saying, well, it's your fault for not looking at the requirements. But in this case, they've only ever updated Steam. They haven't actually updated any of these other stores where they're carrying their title. And so this problem keeps cropping up, and then they keep saying the same thing to their customers, which is, well, we told you on the Steam page, so just even though you didn't buy it on Steam, you need to go through these other things. So we'll see what. Why don't I use Microsoft? Because I own a Apple computer. It's a school computer, so it's good for gaming, but again, like as a Mac user, I accept that there are games that I can't play. I'm not crazy about it. I would be happy if I could play all of the games on this machine that all my friends are. But it seems to me that if you're going to sell a game and you're going to list a set of requirements, if you failed to properly inform people about the OS, the proper response is not, well, you should have checked this other place. So, in any case, right now for me, Telltale Games is in the doghouse. If they, admit the other mistake and perhaps reconsider their positions in terms of how it was handled, I will obviously post a follow-up, but I definitely do not think that that's an appropriate step for a developer to take. I understand that it is hard to support a Mac platform, but in that case, you just cut yourself off from that segment of the market. It doesn't seem right to say our expectation is that you downgrade your OS in order to play our game. So, anyways, let's go on a positive note and start taking people's land under suspicious circumstances. Yeah, and I mean, obviously, my answer in terms of what I was doing as far as the with an Apple computer was a little glib, but in the end, the requirements I had for a laptop and specific school business was, suggested to me that this was the most appropriate laptop for me to get. I've long considered putting Linux on a laptop, and in the end, it's Apple has Unix underneath it. It kind of does everything that I want. Gaming is one thing it doesn't do particularly well, but of course when I got this, it was not intended as a primary gaming machine, let alone a primary streaming machine, and it just turned out that it did it much better than anything else that I have access to. So in that sense, I am a student first. I mean, I really like gaming, but in this case, for the purposes of running my regressions and so on and so forth, I think this is the best laptop for the price point. And, when it came time to, obviously I had the option of putting a better graphics card inside of it, so I took that. But I'm happy with the laptop. It's just a matter of, in the end, I accept that there's some games that I can't play, and then on the flip side of that, it turns out that there are some rather customer-unfriendly practices by developers that I used to have quite a high deal of respect for. So, obviously this is not something that affects the PC market, but I still think a customer-unfriendly business practice is is something worthy of comment. Because I'm sure at some point there's a PC problem that will come up, which they try to sort of sweep under the rug and say, well, we informed you, so you get nothing. Alright, so we kind of left this guy with a whole bunch of work. I need to distribute the titles, I need to get my retinues back together. Got plenty of money, which is good. And we've also got some technological upgrades that we can do. So we got a little bit to do before we unpause the game. Let's start by appointing some bishops. And again, I will apologize for being a little flaky on Twitter regarding the presence of a stream. I genuinely thought I was not going to be able to stream tonight, so it's a nice little bonus that I'm able to do this. I am a little groggy just from the day's events, a little too much time in the sun, which is always nice, but I think I didn't drink enough water today. Maybe I'll do that on my first break. So we have some factions to deal with. What I might do here is hold off for a little bit. I'll go by, let's say we'll let a week or two pass by and just see what factions form up because of my short reign penalty. And then decide what faction we'll go after in response. And actually, with that in mind, I think I'm just going to go straight out and fire anybody. Yeah, I'm basically going to put the most qualified in positions and deal with the consequences afterwards. Everybody, this is going to be my lowest popularity anyway, so I might as well just get everything unpopular done in one fell swoop. He also started an English Norse Republic in Sri Lanka, which is weird but really good. Say you should start your own Crusader Kings 2 stream, but then I would lose a dedicated viewer, and I might have to not stream and just go watch that myself. Alright. So there's a side of me that would like to do some investment in economic technology, but I'm probably going to wind up doing quite a bit of war, so I should fill up those coffers. I know I'm going to be spending a bunch of money to improve the retinues. I'm going to hold off on my Spy Master just because I don't know what factions I'm dealing with yet. And I think I'm going to continue converting. I know there was an argument made in terms of trying to get certain events, but I'm also finding it very frustrating to have to deal with revolutions. So at this point here, I'll first eradicate Islam and then start working on the West African religions. Well, I don't have a great internet as well. I mean, the video quality from this stream is not because the computer can't support something higher. It's actually because the internet connection can't handle it. It's actually really interesting. The Canadian telecom regulator is actually doing a program where they're asking Canadians to kind of volunteer to have their internet usage monitored, and to see whether or not the advertised rates are actually, like to see if the advertised rates are actually what they're getting. So I signed up for that. No indication as to whether or not I'll actually participate in the study, but it's good because, you know, the state of Canadian telecom is not that customer friendly. It's I think the telecoms definitely behave like they know they're the only game in town. So one of my profs apparently did some work on that issue. And I mean, I don't blame them, right? They're going to respond to the incentives that they have. But as a customer, it's my job to raise hell. And the important thing too, like to me, it's also important to remain respectful to, if you're talking to a customer service representative, they're not necessarily dictating policy. They're just going to be, you know, representing the company as best as they can. So You can definitely give voice to your issues, but I never think that's an excuse to be rude to a customer service representative. Yeah, I definitely can say, from what I've heard about Australian internet, it's much kinder on that scale. But I mean, again, like I would much prefer that everybody in all countries has effective internet, not like, okay, well at least it's not as bad as the worst version that I've heard. I think that's giving too many concessions, especially, I mean, Canadian Telecom has kind of sold people this story that, keeping foreign competition out is protecting Canadian jobs and it's in Canadians' interests and things like that. So, it's my intention to hold people like that to account. Like, if you're going to claim that there is, that foreign entrants have no business in this sector, then you need to be providing a level of service that that makes competition unnecessary. And in this case, we're desperately in need of competition, just because the Canadian telecom companies are basically making quite a bit of money, but not with the level of service that you would want from a I don't know, a properly functioning telecom market. Sorry, I'm losing track a little bit. Europe internet is amazing. You should move there. Well, I hear a lot of, East Asian countries as well. So I hear, Japan kind of has the story for having very good internet connectivity. Stories, people going through concrete tunnels and still getting Wi-Fi. And then I hear Korea's also got very good internet as well. I mean, again, these are all stories you hear. Whether or not it actually translates into anything, I guess, is another matter. But okay, I'm going to have this child. Nope, I guess I can't have him betrothed. I'll just give him the title. Basically, just bring myself back to equilibrium. Should have done that ahead of time because I just lost a very good spy master. Oh well. Alright, so the game plan for tonight is still to do the same thing. I want to take the last little bit of West Africa that I haven't captured yet, because we've got a new member of the family. Actually, I should go on a pilgrimage too before I start making war. Oh, you know what? I think I actually already sent myself off on that mission. Let's ransom some prisoners instead. I'm not going to banish anybody if I can't make any money off of it. Okay, that's our hostage money taken care of for now. We've got a couple of other ones. Blood, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by again. Again, some fairly robust numbers on an evening where I thought I wasn't going to be streaming, so thank you everybody for stopping by. Right, so first priority is to take Mali. Again, the advantage here is that we've got Emperor Wunderbar. In this case, we've got basically a brand new leader, so we don't need to worry about any kind of peace treaties. We can basically declare war as soon as we want. He's considering ransom, so I'll get all the money I can from him for these hostages first. I think Mali will be the first place that we declare war on. It kind of gives me a chance to raise some fleet levies and bring this retinue onto the mainland, so I don't need to worry about anything else. That will be. I mean, there's no West African co-religionists to back up this holy war, so this should be a fairly short affair. Regarding my Muslim neighbors, they are getting a little bit more strength. They're currently sitting on 4,000 troops, and then of course you want to worry about the neighboring regions. In this case, they're sitting on 26,000. So this is a case where I would want to more or less raise all of my levies and have them ready to go pretty quickly. But I think I'll worry about that a little bit. I'll worry about that a little bit later. I have a suspicion that, as with most of these situations, Mali is going to prove a little bit more time-consuming to take than I'm assuming. Whenever you suppress religious rebellions, you demand religious conversion from the leader and send them off to a holy order. They can't do anything about it. That's fair. I mean, in the end, I usually just let them rot in my prison until they die. But it doesn't necessarily mean much else. Okay, so I'm curious what legalism gives me. It gives me harsh taxes and duchy viceroyalties. Well, I don't need to worry so much about those at the moment. Tolerance would be good just because of the religious unrest that I've been dealing with. Majesty would be my first pick, but Noble Customs is also pretty good because of the extra tax. I think in this case, though, I am going to go for Tolerance just because I prefer to minimize... I mean, it's going to take forever for it to cross over. And at this point, I might as well just put something into Trade Practices because it's really the laggard as far as technology is concerned. So at least I get that taken care of and I can ignore it for the next few steps. What else can we do? Nothing else as far as technology is concerned, so that's taken care of. So yeah, at this point I'm just going to I'll do max speed. I'll let it run by a week just so I can see what kind of factions show up. And then I'll worry about... here we go. There are a number of different holy places that you could visit on your pilgrimage. All of them are considered most sacred by the Holy Church, but a somewhat closer destination might mean a safer journey. Let's go to a Western holy site. And I believe I've gone to all of these except Cologne, so let's try that. To the narrow-minded coward Wunderbar, may your humors rot in your living body, except paying the ransom for the safe return of Captain Athos. Do we have any more ransoms we can extract? I know we got a new faction that we can deal with. Oh, no problem, 10-year-old. Thanks for hanging out when you did. We'll do our best to have something interesting for you next time. If you get a chance to come by before the stream is done, I'm going to try and do a full duration. But if we don't get to see you till next week, that's fine too. I hope you have a great evening, whatever you wind up doing. Alright, so we just got some mad dollars from the other kings, so let's just keep selling them their own people back. Oh, really? Okay, so it's just the one guy we keep selling people back to. In the meantime, I think it's time for me to put my Spy Master to work. So what have we got as far as plots? 23 is the biggest one, so... Although these guys are getting the numbers. And Independence is slightly scarier, but... We'll deal with the largest faction and move down. Now the real question I have is, what do I want to do with my... Chancellor. So I don't need to make a claim here because we've already got the de jure claim. I think we'd need to fabricate a claim against the Teutonic Order. And what kingdom is this? So I believe that would give me enough. I think what I'll do here is I'll actually make the claim on the capital, especially because it's nice. It's one of those areas that I wanted to expand out to near that mountain range, so this is a particularly desirable target. I think the Teutonic Order should be pretty strong, though. Well, they're weaker than the Muslims, so it might actually... I think I still want to do my work here, but if I can crush this early before these guys get involved, I don't think they're at war currently. Yeah, so that's bad. They'll be able to focus entirely on me. But if I can get this last little bit taken care of quickly, then I can start working on my Christian neighbors for a bit, sort of consolidate my forces, and then move straight into the rest of Africa. Again, Italy would be a great brass ring in this case, but they're fairly strong, and it would be fairly tedious to try and get all of the CBs that I need. So I'll take opportunities where I can inside of Spain, or Hispania, rather. But I think my real benefit is going to come just through the rapid conquest that I can do in Africa, so long as I'm smart about how I move my troops. So I believe all my advisors are accounted for. Let's watch my retinue so I can move them on a boat. Great Holy War for Bulgaria. The mighty high priest, not even going to pronounce it, has decided it is time to teach Basila Mrtziza of the Byzantine Empire and believers in the dead crucified God another lesson in humility. All free Tengri men are invited to partake in the scouring of the kingdom of Bulgaria. Tungak is with us. What terrible news. Things are packed. Everything is in order. Soon I shall see Clone and the Shrine of the Three Kings. My journey begins. And it's Cuthbert Rose, who... I will accept the call to arms once my pilgrimage is done. I'm actually kind of curious what happens if I just leave this open for an undue amount of time. I suspect it'll probably just force a no decision on me, but I'd like to experiment and confirm that. I think this is the last ransom. Well, I wouldn't be able to tell actually because I already sent the request. As you pass through a small village along the pilgrim's path, an old woman comes up to you. She's recognized you as a pilgrim and explains that her daughter and her family live close to your destination. They are suffering hard times, and she asks you to bring them a large purse of money. Don't believe I have charitable yet. I have temperate, so... Of course I will help you. Secretly add some money of your own. I lose a paltry 10 gold, and I gain the charitable trait. Just because I'm paranoid, I want to make sure that I don't have any other options for... Yeah, there we go. Riders approach. Thundering hooves are heard down the road. As the pilgrims look with apprehension at the rising dust cloud, as the riders close, steel armor and steel-tipped lances reflect the bright sunlight. The tension rises, but then a collective sigh of relief is heard as the banner of the Holy Knights is seen flying above the mass of armored men. The knights halt before the pilgrims and graciously offer to accompany you on the road. Praise be the Blessed Virgin, most welcome escort. Gain 20 piety. Cologne. You have finally arrived at Cologne. The mighty cathedral as housing the relics of the Three Kings is still under construction, but it is an impressive structure nonetheless. The city itself lies on the mighty river Rhine, and busy commerce mingles with the flow of pilgrims. I shall pray at the shrine of the Three Kings. So it looks like I don't have any kind of time limit on this, which is interesting. The bustling mass of pilgrims is impressive, as are many languages, colors, and ways of dress present. People come here from west, east, north, and south. You are standing at a place where the roads meet, and that is where people and ideas meet. I can take the chance to learn different languages and customs, so 30% chance of learning or intrigue, or a 20% chance of one diplomacy. In this case, I'm always going to go for the higher probability. I get a little bit less control over what I wind up getting, but in this case, I'd prefer to get something over nothing. Of course, it doesn't tell me what the result is, so... You finally returned from your pilgrimage. It was a rewarding and interesting journey, and you'd do it all again if you could. Still, it's good to be back home. A great experience. So now that a regency is done, we will accept the call to war. That way we don't lose the prestige, but we also don't lose the pilgrimage. And I don't believe I have... Oh, I do have the option for a grand tournament, so I also need to keep that in mind. Now, I wasn't aware that I had any levies raised. While I'm waiting for the game to load, I should mention that in the semi-near future there is... Hey, Zombie Nerd! Thanks for stopping by. How are you tonight? As you can see, I'm easily distracted. The other announcement isn't that important. It's the people who are important. Zombie Nerd, if I'm not mistaken, I believe you came as a result of the Twitch Vancouver tweet. Did you not? My apologies if I have you mistaken for somebody else, but your name seems familiar. I'm doing all right, Zombie Nerd. I'm a little bit more tired this stream than I thought I would be. I'll admit I wasn't actually planning on streaming because I thought my graduation would take longer than it actually did. But fortune smiled, and I was able to get both my graduation and my stream in. But because I had a little bit of an unanticipated opportunity, I'm running a little ragged today, so the commentary may not quite be as sharp as it normally is. Although I think I say that every time, so I really need to come up with a better excuse. No, you didn't. Okay, fair enough. I apologize, Zombie Nerd. It's a little... I've been very fortunate to have a number of people follow this channel recently. So what this has resulted in, though, is a little bit of embarrassment on my part by mistaking, not entirely, but, somewhat similar names from each other, so definitely appreciate having you here one way or the other. Well, thank you, Zombie Nerd. I'll admit, I've probably actually been a little ungracious regarding this, but I'm not quite of the opinion that congratulations are in order yet, because I have been accepted into grad school at the same university, as a matter of fact, and it's a good university for economics, which is my discipline. So to me, this is sort of, this is an award for beginning the marathon. I will be much more excited once my graduate work is complete. But I also think I need to better appreciate the sentiment that people are sharing. So I'm very grateful for the congratulations, but I have a feeling that I'm going to wind up whining and complaining about school a lot on stream if... If I actually ran into a couple of my future profs who more or less assured me that the first term of grad school is going to be absolutely merciless. On the flip side, of course, I'm doing this for a reason. It's a discipline I really enjoy. It's one that I think I have some facility with. So I clearly would not have chosen grad school if I didn't think there was something I could get out of it. Doesn't stop me from whining, though. Looks like we're gaining and losing quite a few factions, which isn't necessarily bad for me, because newly formed factions obviously aren't going to have the same size as the long-term ones. But I do need to keep a slightly better eye. I think what I really need to do is make sure that I'm not ignoring the ones that are disbanding, because there's been a couple of times where I've just kept my spy master, hanging out but not actually doing anything. I apologize for the waits on these, by the way, guys. It's just purely a function of the fact that we're at the end of the game. It's kind of exciting though. This will in fact be the first full playthrough of Crusader Kings 2 that I've ever done at all, and as it happens, also the first Iron Man playthrough that I've done. So definitely learned a lot this time through. I like that there's kind of a video document on the YouTube channel, just so I can sort of see the assumptions I was making at the beginning of the game, and compare them to the way that I'm playing it now. Now, obviously, I'm an Empire, whereas at the beginning I was a County, so there's also a difference in playstyles as well. But I can definitely say the way I treat Empires is very different from when I first got the game. No whining system chalk. Just call me Sissy Chalk. I'll do my best to make any whining moderately entertaining. Nah, it should be good. I mean, what's basically going to happen is, I don't know how many people here have taken a macroeconomics course in university, but basically I took a course called Topics in Macroeconomics with a very good professor named Jesse Perla. Really great guy. I also really like the fact that the majority of the population of Mali has been converted to the Catholic faith. We just see exactly what happened here. Yeah, thought so. Not this Mali. This Mali. So, topics in macroeconomics could mean anything. I've taken another topics course, which was completely unlike the one that I took with Professor Perla. And again, Professor Perla is a fantastic instructor, both in terms of the content of what he gave us, but also he was very open with his research interests. He found out that I was applying to grad schools. He gave me some advice in terms of how I should go about it, how I should decide on what program to enter. Encouraged me to take his monetary theory class when he found out that I was going to UBC. Just all the kinds of things that make up a very good and encouraging instructor. And this is stuff that I definitely think I need, because in the end it is not going to get any easier. So if I can get sort of the warm and fuzzies in now, I will probably just have enough in the tank to get me over the finish line and into my MA. Now, the way he set up topics in macroeconomics was basically to try and give people a view in terms of what macro has done at the higher level. And as fun as macro was in undergrad, almost none of the things that I learned in any of my undergraduate macro courses, save for topics in macroeconomics, actually bear any relation to the things that he said form up modern macro. And I got a little bit of an indication of it too, based on some of my other interests. So, one, I'll call it a casual interest. So I haven't done research in this, but it's something I have enjoyed reading about. Just so you know what I'm doing here, I'm looking for a carling to marry this woman to because I want prestige. So I'm kind of interested in endogenous growth theory. So for the uninitiated, I should probably unpack what these terms mean. Growth theory, you can kind of figure that out from the meanings. Growth being, of course, the growth of things such as GDP. Theory is not, there's lots of people, it hasn't been proven yet. This is not what theory means. It's a model of looking at these kinds of issues. Kite, my goodness. Did you just finish streaming tonight? Didn't see you on my sheet. Hang on a second. So this explains a lot. Kite, I don't know why, but I don't seem to have been following you. So I'm going to fix that right now. Jesse Quill. Good to have you in here as well. Okay, I guess I can't talk about endogenous growth theory now that I have the VIPs in the house. Okay, Kite, I don't know if my follow worked. I'm going to double check it at the end of the broadcast, but thank you so much for the host. My goodness. And you're doing well. Look at those numbers. So, Kite and Jesse. Let me... okay, I'm going to put everything on hold so I can type this stuff out. Both of them are members of Seriously Clara's Twitch team called Team Panda. If you take a look at the title above, just below that, near my name, is the Team Panda link. This is a group of sort of like-minded streamers. It's not necessarily people who are partnered. In fact, I do not believe there are any partnered streamers other than Clara, although I always have a feeling... Mr. Coconuts, how's it going? I have a feeling that probably Jessie Quill is one day going to have that sub button near her name. But in any case, it's a great group of streamers who are combined by the way that they interact with their audiences, by the way that they, the types of games that they play, and just generally sort of a passion for Twitch, for streaming. It is, reputation is a very important thing to keep, and so I'm hesitant to ever overstate claims. But I would definitely say that if you are ever looking for something new on Twitch, Team Panda is the place where I go to, throw out a new shout out. So if I know I'm not going to be streaming on a night, that is the first place I go to see if anybody's streaming on it. I don't get to see as many people on it as I want, and this is either because they're streaming at the same time as me or they're located in a different time zone and things don't work out. I'm hoping that summer gives me a chance to meet more of them. But I can personally say, thank you very much for linking that, Jesse. I will tell you that Jessie Quill sort of stands as this nice model in terms of what an ideal stream looks like in terms of layout. She has a wonderful interaction with her viewers. She has got this absolute gift for facial expressions, like just absolutely the most picturesque expressions that you can imagine for every occasion. It's that alone is great, and I mean it's highlighted in terms of things when she's when she's on a break, she'll have the photos, so you get a bit of an indication. But to see it live and to have her interacting with you in chat is fantastic. She also has she's got a much more diverse range of games that she plays than this stream, so a nicer mix of classics and contemporary things, whereas I'm a little bit constrained in terms of what I can do on Mac. So she gets the highest recommendations. Kite is somebody who has been a great friend of the stream, as is Jessie, by the way. Jessie also has this beautiful gift in being able to support her fellow streamers even when they are in a smaller state, such as myself. Every time I've gone in there, she has been so kind to give a shout out, encourage people to follow. Now, yeah, things are getting crazy in here, Zombie Nerd. I don't quite know. I think I have an idea of what the record is, but I'm not going to say it just in case I'm wrong. Kite has been an absolutely fantastic friend of this stream. I do not believe there has been a stream where, like, I've been on for more than half an hour and he hasn't stopped in. He is an extremely caring guy. I can say this in interactions off of stream as well as on stream. I don't know how long he has been streaming. It came as a bit of a surprise to me when I saw his application on Team Panda. Oh, Mr. Coconuts, thank you so much for the follow. I thought you were a follower before, but I must have been mistaken, so thank you so much for that. What did Blood... Blood, I hope that was a follow that you did. Kite is absolutely somebody worth following. I'm mortified that it seems for whatever reason I wasn't following myself. This might explain why I haven't been catching his streams. Oh, Akadak, all the best people are in here tonight. So Akadak is also a streamer. But I will finish. I sung Jessie Quill's praises, and I'm bound and determined to speak to Kites. Although I am going to unpause the game, so at least I can let it load. But Kite260 has an absolutely fantastic personality. I got a little bit of an indicator in terms of what his stream's like, in terms of checking out things like VODs and just in terms of the content that he's giving. So that's another good stream to go into. I unfortunately don't get to talk quite as much about the personality behind... I get to talk about the personality behind the stream rather than what you can see on the screen on its own. But even those little fragments that I saw on there, again, like I said, reputation is something that you spend a long time to build, and you don't don't want to destroy with just a careless mention on saying, oh, hey, I've got some friends, so I'm going to sell them up a little bit. These are people who you definitely want to have in your follow list. They're going to be entertaining you no matter what they're playing. And so unless you're here exclusively for the Crusader Kings 2, I would strongly encourage you guys to hit those follow buttons. Akadak is also a fantastic friend, both of the stream and of all of the people inside of the chat right now. He does some occasional streaming on his own. I think the last thing I saw him playing was Hotline Miami, but I think he may be done with that. But I've had the great pleasure of meeting Akadak in person at EXP Bar in Vancouver, and he is every bit as fun to be around and as generous as his online activities would suggest he is. So I am unfortunately in the presence of much better people than me, so I kind of feel like the small man. But it's absolutely wonderful to have all of them in here, and Elmgore's joining us as well. You're the weekend warrior guy for streaming. Yeah, that works. Thank you for following Kiteblood. Alright, to the most illustrious Emperor Wunderbar, the good burghers of the Malpas are barely able to pay their taxes. Our coffers are empty. I humbly ask you to lower the taxes for your cities. Your humble servant, Mayor Leofwith of Malpas. Now, we're only pulling in 21 gold a month, so we could bribe him, but that would cost 234 gold. So instead, we will use our high diplomacy skill to flatter and soothe him. Hardly, Sister Jug, you're definitely okay. That is the one concession I will accept, is that I am definitely taller. I was speaking more in metaphorical terms, and of course, in this term as well, I've christened Jesse Quill an honorary man for this case. But as she's fond of reminding the trolls who occasionally find their way into her chat, her banhammer is definitely bigger than their dick. So I'm not entirely sure that she will shrug off, or she'll be too upset with the honorary manhood in tonight's stream. Alright, looks like we've got more religious conversion. Looks like we have stamped the curse of Islam from our lands. Oh, not quite, actually. We've got a couple of new acquisitions that we need to bring to the one true faith. Height is all that matters? So what I've been doing here, we've got this large retinue, which is basically slowly make its way towards Mali. There's no benefit to me. Oh, actually, I should also talk a little bit about this crusade that happened. I'm not actually joining it. Did I ever make that coup? You know what, Zombie Nerd? Thank you for pointing that out. Let me bring up Steam right now. I will confess, I was bad for my activities this week. I didn't make the group, and I didn't make the banner above. And I keep forgetting that I cannot do any online activity when I'm streaming because everything takes too slow. So I can't do it on a break, but at the end of the broadcast, I will make that group. And if you're here for the end of it, I will actually post the link in chat at the end. Because I have a feeling if I leave it, I got a research assignment this week. So that's not going to interrupt my streaming, but I have a feeling that's going to give me some excuses when it comes to doing sort of the ancillary stuff. So if I get it done now, then I'm not going to be able to give myself any excuses when I'm knee-deep in papers. But thank you very much for reminding me of that, Zombie Nerd. That was a big oversight on my part. So I'll... this is actually a neat... so I learned something, believe it or not. No. A little while ago. Let me see if I can bring up this... There we go. Manchester's laws. Oop, let's close those things down. Didn't organize my Windows properly. So Lanchester's laws was this idea that I was introduced to. It was actually from a YouTuber called Thunderfoot. I'm 50-50 in terms of recommendations that I make on it. The interesting content is a lot of his science stuff. He's definitely on the side of... he's definitely very much on the atheist side to a point where he could sort of be considered inside of the recent crop, which is a little bit more vocal and active in terms of its beliefs or non-beliefs in this particular case, which I don't necessarily think is wrong, but I realize is off-putting to some. I definitely prefer his science material, which is very good, and in this case he did an analysis of the Blitzkrieg in World War II and sort of the mathematics behind it. And then the one of the reasons why I'm a little hesitant to recommend it is that he has also taken up a cause against what he considers to be a poisonous branch of feminism. Now, I see where he's coming from on it, but unfortunately, I'm not entirely sure he presents his views in the best light. I think sometimes it can come off as being opposed to some things that... I think he comes off as opposed to some ideas that he's not necessarily opposed to. So I make the recommendation with caution, but I do need to give him credit for bringing up the idea that I found online, which is these Lanchester's laws. And I believe it was the linear law that he was talking about. But basically, he kind of talks about this idea where you can say, let's assume that we've got two equally matched armies and they have an equal probability of hitting each other with a given attack. So, it's 5% chance. If you have two armies, they're going to just slowly whittle each other down. There's not necessarily a winner. But then you have sort of the principle of divide and conquer. And you cut them... Scumbag Dahlia isn't coming? It's fine. I hope, actually, I as much as I enjoy tormenting Dahlia, I believe he was sick yesterday, so I need to make him... I shouldn't make as much fun of him. And by the way, thanks for stopping by, Jasper. I always see you in the background, but it's always nice to have you inside a chat. So many good people here tonight. A mysterious Jewish man has offered his services at your court. He is well versed in feudal court intrigue and has a past both as a mercenary and a spy. If he can be trusted, he could very well prove to be an indispensable asset to your council. I'm going to wait till the war's done before I do that. I never actually did talk about the jihad that's currently occurring, but I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to contribute that much to it because I'm actually already winning, or I'm already losing this war with the Abbasids. But that's fine because I'm just an ally. I don't actually lose any prestige for that. But this Lanchester's linear law, the best thing that I can say is if you take those two even armies, you take one of those armies and divide them into two parts. You have the smaller force attack the larger one. Because of the ratios, so if you consider, originally we had 1-to-1, so they whittle each other down. If you have this 2-to-1, the rate at which the smaller force loses people sort of grows. This ratio increases, and so you have, as is rather predictable, the smaller force loses out to the larger force. But it's not in the same... It isn't in that... It isn't in the way that you expect. It's in the... It's a much more rapid loss if you have the smaller force. So, in this case, another way of putting it is... And again, this is common sense, but of course it's... You use a mathematical model so you can make the ideas clear, and then you build on them. But the idea here is that if you have a 100-unit force and two 50-unit forces, there will be fewer casualties to the 100-unit force, and the two 50-unit forces will be wiped out. Now, as soon as I heard about that, I thought this is the way that they do Crusader Kings 2. So what I'd be really interested to see is if there's a dev diary that actually specifically invokes Lanchester's laws. I think the official terms are like predator-prey differential equations or something like that. But, wait a minute, you're not good people? What do you mean, Blood? I guess I need to make my pick of Spy Master. What's his rating? 17? Well, that's only a 1-point difference, but let's see who else I have. I'll say give Duke Thorad the Third a chance, but I'll take this opportunity to see if there's a better replacement. Oh, it's the new diplomat. I'm not so worried about that then. Sir Wedgie, my goodness. Sir Wedgie is yet another streamer. Also on Wait, are you on Team Panda, Wedgie? If not, Sir Wedgie is not just one of Seriously Clara's mods, but is pretty much the definition of her mods. She very frequently talks about the skill and the... Nice. Clara very frequently talks about her mod team and how good they are at the job. But a lot of that is specifically due to Wedgie. He has a very good way with people. He's extremely fair in the way that he handles any trouble that comes up. He's also... he's actually a very fun streamer to watch, so I would encourage you to check him out as well. But in terms of just a personality, again, he's one of those figures that you slightly feel bad about yourself whenever you get to see him in action, because he just seems to be so keyed into how people are feeling and what the right course of action is. So not quite sure. I have to be on my best behavior around him, otherwise I sometimes feel like a very wretched person. The weekend is a lie? Nonsense. This might be the last weekend I have for a little while. Probably spend it streaming on Twitch and doing a little bit of research. Yeah, not only did Kite get to stream, but he gave me an extremely healthy... I think he doubled my viewer numbers or something like that from hosting, so... I definitely owe him a big thank you for that. Although, again, as I was saying last stream, the success is not measured by the numbers, but it's very... Ooh, wow. They lost that fast. Successful jihad for Jerusalem. The greatest has granted Caliph Ghalib victory in the jihad for Jerusalem against the Sultan Kathrat of Jerusalem. Caliph Ghalib has called for a month of celebration across the whole Muslim world. Cursed infidels! So what are they sitting at for forces? It looks pretty grim. 140 screaming Sunnis. Sorry, 140,000. 140 I wouldn't be worried about. 140,000 is a problem. Would I recommend the Sons of Abraham? Well, first of all, if you ever need money, you can always borrow it from Jewish moneylenders and then expel them. Yeah, I was going to say the two things about that is that number one, an extremely kind person, but also it's really gratifying to see people with such high numbers, streaming and finding success of their own, because you did the thing 10 out of 10. I personally like Sons of Abraham. If you go to the Crusader Kings 2 wiki, it actually does a very nice job of identifying what you can do exclusively in the DLC and what parts were just added as part of the game that you get for free. I think it's all right. It's not my favorite DLC. I think some of my favorite DLC would be things like, the Old Gods adds extra time to the game, and personally I really like the one that adds the Republican governments. I think it is just called the Republic. So those are two that I prefer a little bit more, but I think Sons of Abraham is a good DLC personally. But the biggest thing I can say, I've learned after going in and sort of playing around a little bit with some of these settings. I just succeeded in my Holy War. You don't need to capture every county, you just need to get enough of your war score up, which means I can deal with the rebels, which have basically been running free in the north. Or I thought running free in the north. It looks like they're just kind of running around now. The best thing I can recommend is, it's one thing for me to make a recommendation for, you know, this DLC or that. Ultimately, what you get out of Crusader Kings is sort of your own individual experience. So this one was entirely about moving up from a count in, you know, in what is now the United Kingdom, and turning that into an empire, and, you know, painting Africa red and all of these things. Now, one of the challenges that I would really like is to actually play a Jewish ruler, which I think... Where is it? One of these regions at the start of the game is Jewish. I can't remember which one, though. But basically, like, to play as a Jewish character is actually really difficult. So that's an interesting challenge in and of itself. But then, you know, somebody might be interested in playing an Indian character, at which point Rajas of India is better. If you're interested, you know, you could play somebody from the Slavic areas without any DLC. So I definitely recommend, you know, the tribe. First of all, wait for Steam sales, or actually, as it happens, Sons of Abraham is part of the DLC included in the current Humble Bundle. So if you wanted to, you know, if there's something else in that Humble Bundle that you wanted that you thought, you know, you either could buy yourself or give away, you might be able to pick up Sons of Abraham relatively cheaply that way. Although, honestly, I think for the minimum price, if you were just buying it for that, you probably would be just as well to purchase the DLC on its own. But I definitely recommend, like, waiting for a Steam sale, coming up with a wish list based off of what you've read on the Crusader Kings 2 wiki, and then kind of progressing from that standpoint. All the Muslims want me dead? That is absolutely true. Speaking of which, who do I give this territory to? Looks like... I mean, the good news about the family is that they're all dukes, but the bad news is I'm running out of people to give these titles to. They're all having, like, one son, and then... that or the sons keep dying. It's going to be a little boring for a minute while I find out who I can give this title to. You noticed a pattern? Didn't wait for sale, you paid the full $40 for CK2 and full price for both Start D DLC and Way of Life. Wow, zombie nerd. I mean, obviously, if you get the value out of it, you know, obviously it doesn't necessarily matter what you paid. In my opinion, I think Paradox tries to milk the customers for a little bit more than I'm comfortable with. So I definitely tend to recommend people, you know, buy the game in chunks and when it's on sale. But I mean, in the end, right, like, as long as you get $40 plus what you paid for the DLC enjoyment out of it, you know, it's not the end of the world. Like, for me, money is, like, not... If I say money is tight, I am not talking like I'm eating cardboard to survive or something like that. But, like, I definitely don't want to just go out and buy, like, a $60 title sight unseen, right? I will usually pace myself as far as, you know, obtaining new titles are concerned. I can't believe I actually found somebody. Let me just find out what duchy to give him. Songhae. Oh, but I forgot to create it. Okay, I'll get that fixed. But yeah, like I'm at a point where I want to be cautious in terms of what I'm buying. I'll just highlight him and create the kingdoms. But I'm not I'm not completely destitute. So in my case, my time is I've got lots of time on a relative basis, and less money. And so in this case, I see the appeal of not not paying full price for games. For somebody who is in a job, or somebody who has maybe not necessarily all the time in the world, but usually that's somebody who's working and so has an income, it makes sense to just go out and buy something. It's the way Hearthstone works, right? Like if you want to have a competitive deck and you don't mind dropping a bit of cash, you don't need to grind your way to the deck that you want. If you're somebody like me, you probably play the game quite a bit more. You provide people an opponent and you get, Blizzard coins in response. All right, let me give him this title before I start bunking. I've opened like 3 lines of conversation and I haven't finished a single one of them. Sorry, guys. All right. So the big key here is to make sure that my domain size does not exceed 8. Ideally, I've already got the 8 that I want for this character. But the idea here is I also want to increase the prestige of the family. So right now, I forgot to check this before. We're like 93 or something along those lines before we gave that title to him. So we'll see at the end. I think this was around 7,000 on the previous playthrough. So basically, the prestige of the House of Rose is going up. Now, the score of the game is the top right-hand corner here, which is our individual prestige through the line of kings that we've been playing. But I kind of like to keep track of the family prestige because it's another metric of my success. Next thing that we need to do is actually deal with this rebellion here. It's not we're already winning pretty hard. We haven't done anything, and we're still at an 11 war score. So I'm not actually... The one problem with it is that I don't have a great route that my retinue can take. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise my vassal levies. I'm going to see what's available in this area. There's nobody currently occupying any of my territory, so I can afford to just raise all the troops. And then we'll see what I have in the area to deal with them. And it turns out, not much. So let's drop these jokers. This is a little bit more credible. I think I'll muster them together here, and then we'll just cross over into the north. So it does involve a little bit of a walk, but nothing too strenuous. Also, because these are vast... Oh, what I need to do, though, is get rid of all my other levies. This group will become particularly useful because it's going to be what I use to absorb the brunt of the Muslim defense. I really hope I don't disband my retinue by doing this. Yeah. By the way, Black Dahlia, are you feeling better? I don't think I asked this before. I hope you're feeling well enough that I can make fun of you again, but not so well that you pose a significant challenge when I start talking crap. Oh, another peasant revolt, so... Where are they? Alright, so we get to have a dry run of the African conquest. No, it is not Bavaria. This is the Teutonic Order. Basically what happened was there was a crusade for Andalusia, and the Teutonic Order basically won it, and then a whole bunch of counties just started giving territory to the Teutonic Order. So the better part of the endgame has actually been to try and break up as much as possible. Like, we started off with the top 4 corner provinces, and we basically just slowly CB'd our way through. Now, they've had a couple of rebellions, so a few of these places have sort of shaken loose and taken their own territories, which is convenient for me, but it really slowed down my conquest of the western side of the map. I've got more religious conversions, so let's see if I'm wasting my... Where's my priest? Oh, there he is. So, do have religion spreading, just not in the places I want. I think I'll bring these guys along too. Well, no, you know what? They're not going to make it on time. Yeah, so one of my drawbacks here, of course, is that my empire is fairly broad in its reach. And so this can present a little bit of a conundrum as far as getting troops to where they need to be. It tends to be very expensive to do it. But usually the answer to that is just making sure that I raise too many and absolutely dominate the opponent. And again, that would be Lanchester's laws coming into work, which is if I have a significantly large force, the attrition on my side will be much lower, whereas we'll be maximizing the casualties of the enemy. Another important thing about this rebellion here, too, is that I don't necessarily need to worry about the fact that they're laying siege to the castle. What I need to worry about is if they lay siege to the castle and it's overwhelmingly red here. But this time I'm just kind of taking advantage of the fact that they're going to be suffering attrition while they do this siege. I'm going to be gaining morale and consolidating my forces so that when the time comes, I'll just steamroller over them. And first time you've seen Italy get out of the peninsula, usually Carling takes them into Francia or the HRE gets them. Yeah, the HRE never even happened in this game. There is pretty much not even an attempt to pretend that this is proper history. Actually, I should probably start moving these guys. About to lose the war with the Abbasids, but again, that was an ally anyway. So, unfortunately, they are back to full strength. We used to have Jerusalem from a crusade, and they gave a successful and a very fast jihad to take it back. So they're going to be a problem once I finish my conquest of North Africa. Italy in the start game has terrible levies, and even small revolts take part of it. Yeah, they actually did have a number of revolts at the start, but we had an early alliance with them where they actually wound up wiping out an English count that was causing us a lot of trouble. So Italy's been a pretty big player in this this particular playthrough, but it's definitely it's not an experience of Italy that I've had in any other games. It seems like they, they aren't the ones who are forming Rome. I've against my better judgment, I have decided to keep the... Oh God, what do they want now? The Great Pilgrim Wonderbar, blessings on you and your house. We request that you honor your obligation and answer this call to arms against minor viceroy by here of the Meridid Emirate. Declining would cost us 100 prestige, and if we accept, we will be part of the Holy War for Jerusalem. Yeah, why not? They're losing, but I'm already at war. Lucky HRE gets 50k levies in your game and is only year 1127. Good lord. So you know what, guys? I am about 20 minutes late for my break tonight. So I know it's been a little bit of a slower start. This is just purely my recovering from the graduation ceremonies. I am going to try. I'm going to take a break. I'm going to try and keep it as close to the 3 minute mark as I can. But I am going to get some water. I'm just going to do a little. I'm not just stretch, but something a little more vigorous, just so I can get myself focused again. I do want to thank everybody for coming in. It's definitely been a nice, large number of people and some great hosts, some great people who are, people I consider great friends on Twitch. So this has been an absolute delight to have everybody in here. If you decide that the break is the time that you want to leave, I understand completely. But we're looking forward to keeping you around if we can, or seeing you the next time. I'm going to be back as soon as I can, but I am just going to make sure that I take a minute to, one, take care of myself, but also to get myself to a level where I can, give a slightly better show and not be as lethargic. So I just ask for your patience for a little bit. Enjoy the map of the world. I think we'll go for Dynasties again, just because that was a fun one to look at. And I'll be back in a little bit more refreshed and ready to conquer the world. See you guys in a bit. All right, thank you everybody for your patience. Looks like I got a few questions that I need to deal with in here. So, Helix, first of all, thanks a lot for stopping by again. My god, there's more of you than when I left. Thanks, guys. So, Alex, I was actually terrified today that I wasn't going to be able to stream because I had my graduation ceremony. I actually put out a tweet saying that it was likely I wasn't going to do it, and then I would just do a makeup stream on Saturday. But as it turns out, running low on patience. But yeah, as it turns out, the ceremony timings and all the associated things allowed me to do a stream tonight. So I might be a little bit more lethargic, but I'm generally I'm basically committed to doing a full stream tonight. I have no idea how far we're going to get in this game because it's always a bit of a conundrum to make a prediction in terms of how quickly the game's going to go when it loads every couple of minutes. But we're definitely looking forward to doing it. And thank you very much for saying that you've been waiting all week for this. That's definitely very high praise. So thank you for the dedication. It's definitely appreciated. You guys, I mean, I would definitely be doing something resembling a stream, regardless of kind of who was here. But the support that I get from you guys is always very humbling and very very touching. So it definitely gives me a motivation to keep doing this on a regular basis. It's definitely appreciated. I'll try and deal with the questions in the order that they appeared. So Zombie Nerd, I did not own the Charlemagne expansion when I started this playthrough. So in this particular case, I began in the Old God start date. I believe that's 867, and we began playing as the County of Westmoreland. And then, thank you for the welcome back, Mr. Coconuts. And Water FTW3, I would definitely say, so if you like a grand strategy style title, so something that is very large and complex, has lots of moving parts, Crusader Kings 2 right now is my game of choice for a game like a game of this style because of its role-playing elements. The fact that my ruler right now has an ambition to improve his learning, and these traits do have an effect. And the fact that I manage these interpersonal relationships, and that I can't just, as opposed to Civilization, which is a great title, and I count that as like my favorite series of games of all time. But in Civilization, you play this social planner where if you decide that the United States of America becomes a dictatorship, that happens overnight with no debate. Crusader Kings 2 really gets in the nitty-gritty of the political economy of what's going on. You need to manage your vassals. You have people who have their own vested interests, and how do you play your vassals against each other? How do you keep them weak so they can't necessarily overthrow you, but strong enough to meaningfully contribute to your own sort of designs for conquest? All of that stuff I think is great. The drawback is that this game is quite complex, and to a point that it can be very off-putting for a lot of people. So with that in mind, I'm actually going to try and do a little bit more educational content for this game once I finish this playthrough. I probably won't dedicate like Fridays to the educational content, but I'll try and put something together for it. So the best I can say, Water, for every Paradox title, I definitely recommend waiting until it's on sale. That's the first. That's usually the first thing that I say. And then the next sort of thing that you need to check is this the sort of game that you would be willing to put some extra time into learning and, dealing with the fact that you're going to feel like the game does not make any sense the first time you look at it, and then eventually you're going to get pieces as you move along. If that's okay, I definitely recommend it. But if you find that you can get easily discouraged with titles that maybe are a little bit arcane in terms of how they communicate some of its central concepts, I'd maybe wait. I mean, the best I can say, watch somebody else play it. And by all means, feel free to ask questions about why I'm doing what I'm doing or what certain menus mean. And that would be another way that we can sort of ease you into the title. Personally, I definitely think it's worth it. But in the end, my opinion only counts for so much. I would feel very bad. Even if somebody got it on a very heavy discount, I would still feel bad if somebody set money towards this game when it wasn't for them. Yeah, not a problem, Halix. I hope to get a chance to see your channel myself. I think there's definitely a lack of good Crusader Kings 2 streams. So, and it's always good too. Like the way I play Crusader Kings 2, as I'm sure some people have noticed, and probably to their frustration, I very much like this little narrative of the House of Rose that we've made, right? So it's not necessarily strategically optimal for me to keep my capital in Westmoreland, but you know, it's the story of this very odd family that's wound up becoming a major power player inside of medieval European politics. So I like having little things like this and be able to refer to, you know, these ancient figures like Grandpa and all of that. But with that in mind, if somebody's wanting to see somebody like completely rock out on Crusader Kings 2 and just create this super army that just snowballs over everything, you know, I'm not necessarily going to be able to provide that on all streams, or most, you know, definitely even most of them, because I like the little stories that wind up being told inside of the game here. So everybody has their own approach to things, and in the end, people, you know, I guess I'm a little bit lucky that some people do actually just watch Crusader Kings 2 for the game, but personally, when I go and I watch a channel, I watch it for the streamer. And I think that's why this channel is sometimes very lucky to have some really great personalities visit, such as Kite260, Jesse Quill, Akadak, Sir Wedgie. You know, Lead Paste was in. I saw him in here at the beginning, and I hope he's still here. But just these wonderful people who either stream on their own or are these really valuable elements of other people's channels. It's in this case, I get to ride on their coattails a little bit as well. You have 200 hours and you're still a noob. Do the Templars have land in my game? That's a good question, actually. First of all... I don't want to lose the gold. I don't think they do. I think the Teutonic Order has... Yeah, these are the Teutonic Order. We had another Holy Order, but I think they lost their land to the Mahometans. So no, I don't believe the Templars have land. I think it's just the Teutonic Order that wound up with it. Okay. I've been waiting too long. It's time to crush some rebels, and then we will move on to conquests of our own. Alright. This is the one part I'm not crazy about for Crusader Kings 2. In Europa Universalis, after you successfully defeat an army, there's a period of time where they can sort of run away without being attacked again. In Crusader Kings 2, you just run people down and completely butcher them. The only drawback is that when you're, even if you're on the winning side, like, it takes a really long time to, to finally wipe them out. Like, there's still 300 troops that I need to chase. Oh, more than 300 troops that I need to chase down. And it's just, the time could be used a little bit more effectively in other things. I believe it's Hochmeister Adalbert, who is up north in Saxony. So, conceivably, originally this wasn't territory I would have considered taking, but we are actually starting to make a little bit of progress up there, so... I mean, in the end, I'm never going to stomp out the Teutonic Order because they've just been given so much territory in the north here, but I can definitely... I wouldn't be upset if I wound up driving them from Iberia. Thank you, Wedgie. Sadly, don't have a very good mute. I don't have a very good mute option on my my current setup, so I'm gonna need to work on that, especially with summer coming in. I have a feeling that it's just enough pollen to make me miserable. This is a little bit of a problem that so in certain regions, you may not necessarily have enough supplies to support your troops, and this is going to raise the attrition rate. This can actually be a problem when you're moving sort of across a continent to try and stomp out a rebellion. I brought enough troops that I outnumber them 2-1. But it's still a little bit problematic when it comes to dealing with faraway enemies. Fortunately, the AI has not been very smart on this, so they haven't laid siege to one county. They've just kind of been moving all over the place, and so it'll be an easy rebellion to crush. All right. My liege, I wish to intercede on behalf of one of your prisoners. I'm not going to pronounce it. Surely a show of mercy would please all of your vassals. Well... So, -2 opinion of me, and if I release him, he's probably going to like me more, so... Let's say very well and see what happens. Yeah, he likes me, so... In this case, it's nice to have some vassals that are have a higher opinion of me for showing mercy. Alright, we're getting more religious conversions. I just want to make sure that I'm not wasting my... Yeah, so they're all sort of neighboring regions, but it's not actually the one I have him working in, so I'm okay leaving him in place. But I do think I should take a look at my Spy Master and see what factions I need to deal with at the moment. So the strongest faction looks like it's Lower Crown Authority in England, although in general, if the strongest faction is 23%, I don't have much to worry about, but my Spy Master is definitely not in York, so let's move on to make people miserable in other regions. And I completely forgot to check in on my bishops, so I'm just gonna load up the candidates with a prisoner who apparently has a fairly high opinion of me. Perhaps I should release him. I don't even remember why I imprisoned this guy. Maybe it's because of a war? Yes, we'll release him from prison. It's gonna be like our first Muslim bishop, I think. Oh no, he's Catholic, never mind. I replaced all my bishops with ex-convicts. Ex-convicts who like me more than the Pope. That's the important distinction. Alright. So, I do need to remember to host a tournament once all my wars are done, but I have a feeling that's not going to be for a while. It's always nice to be able to get a little bit more money. So it looks like I can get rid of these guys too. Jail's getting a little full, so we'll release the people who will be allies to me. In this case, it says -2, but I know from releasing him, he's going to have an opinion boost. So these are people kind of quote-unquote owned by other factions, so I can potentially get money from them. Or at the very least, there's no direct benefit to me. One thing I will sometimes do is release people from my dungeons that really hate their liege, because in that case, that's somebody that I can bring into a faction. But the guy is Umayyad, yes. What you have to do is start a school where I brainwash children into thinking you're the greatest person in the world, and when they graduate, have them do their bidding. In-game, of course. No, I want to do that in the real world. I mean, look at me. I've got over 7,000 prestige. Everybody already thinks I'm awesome. Heck, and my piety, 2186? Let's take a look at the Pope. That's right. Look at that Pope who's at 1,500 piety. What a dirty little man. Alright, so that's the first of the peasant rebellions that we dealt with. It's no real point in keeping this stack around, because it's just going to cost me money and support. As far as... what I am really curious about is what happened to the rest of this rebellion. Like, if it's just 600 men, this should be a piece of cake. I crave solitude. I no longer seek the company of others. But I won't become a hermit. Now, unfortunately, this means I lose gregarious, which gives me a nice +2 diplomacy. But I'll just have to live with it. Oh, I forgot to mention my intentions regarding the automatically cancel plots. So it used to be that I would always manually disable plots just because, you know, if it was somebody trying to take on a potential rival for me, it's actually it's an assassination that I would want to have go through. Now, the problem is that because I've been so successful at putting family members, you know, as the counts of, or dukes of various regions, the majority of plots that I'm dealing with now are against people who I don't want to be killed. So in this case, the distraction of having to cancel the plots constantly was outweighing the benefit of having an assassination of convenience. So it's not what I would call my perfect strategy, but it's one. Basically, it's just a payoff in terms of time compared to to the benefit. Hey, we've got more conversion. I was gonna say, this bishop's really getting work done. Oh, nice. Okay. So it's a pretty quick... I don't know what happened to the other 1,400 troops in that rebellion, but I'm very happy they're dead. We're definitely going to lose this war, but if we lose it quickly, then we can have our tournament. Alright, so what would be really neat, and maybe overkill, would be if they have a grand strategy portion, how it is in CK2, but then added in an RTS element in Total War games where you settle dispute, take over cities in that manner. That'd definitely be really interesting. So far as I can tell, there is no game that incorporates all of those elements. I suspect the most likely way that you would see that would be the Total War games incorporating Paradox elements into their existing titles rather than seeing Paradox adding an RTS element. Just because I think in the end, like, they already make games that are pretty sprawling. Like, just to give you an idea on its own, like, let's take a look at Council. Assume you know nothing about this game. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 advisors, and if you're lucky, you've got a Western leader like me, which means you've only got 15 different options. And I mean, this is talking about improved relations with the Lord, 68% chance yearly. Well, great, but what does it mean to have a good relationship with a Lord? Now, I know that that means extra tax revenue for me and things like that. But, you know, to somebody who's new, these percentages mean nothing. And so I think at some point, even Paradox says, okay, this is getting a little ridiculous, guys. So I think you'd probably be more likely to see Total War adopt that particular approach. But I think it'd be I definitely think it would be an interesting one. Okay, so right now I'm just seeing what I can declare war to him. I'm only interested in... That doesn't make any sense. I can't actually see any of these regions that I'm going after. This is actually an ideal time to make my move, because Bari's currently in revolt, so they're not going to dedicate any troops against me. So let's start by taking Fez. You know the old Battle for Middle-earth games, there was a conquest mode where you fought over territories in Middle-earth. You could add units to territory in the grand map denoted by flags and numbers, but you could also go into that territory in an RTS mode and actually fight the battles with the units that you've placed on those territories. That is really interesting. One of the things that I've always been interested in from a game development point of view, so this is going to be abandoning Crusader Kings talk for a little bit, but whenever I've been thinking about different concepts for games, I've been really interested in this idea of taking the way that a lot of companies are handling the idea of multiple platforms right now is just to say, it's like, okay, how many platforms can we support, and not have porting problems, unless you're, developers that I won't name, but everybody kind of knows who you're talking about, where it's just kind of like, okay, we really don't care about the quality of the port, just let's get it on as many, let's get as many eyeballs as we can. So this is where you get a really big advantage for things like the Unreal or the Unity engine, because these are nice off-the-shelf middleware solutions that, especially Unity, which was kind of founded on this idea of being able to support a very large number of platforms, and just, straight out of the box, it just works. So I think that's not the only way that you can handle this idea of different platforms. Now, a lot of this thinking was kind of coming around the time, when the Wii was really the option, and there was definitely a technological difference. So if you played Rock Band on the Wii, it was going to be different than if you played it on like an Xbox or a PlayStation. So the game's still fun, but doesn't mean that, it just, you're not going to get the same graphics quality because Nintendo very specifically, held back, I'm assuming to keep the console affordable. Or alternatively, they didn't have the technology, and so as a result, they made the price lower to make it more attractive. I suspect it's the other way around, though, that they wanted to have a more affordable console because they didn't feel that they needed to compete on graphics. And I believe they were right in that determination. It's just that the follow-up consoles didn't necessarily capture people's imagination the same way. In any case, what you would wind up getting would be these really weird sort of pseudo titles. Like, I don't believe Overlord was ever available. I've never played Overlord, but I don't believe that was ever available on the Wii. But there was like Overlord Minions available, so it's not actually the game, but it's sort of a spin-off that's trying to capture some of that IP. And what I think would have been really interesting to deal with multiple platforms, and I think this is especially ideal for, let's say, people with a browser, people with, a PC and console, and people with mobile phones, is to have a game that is, 3 distinct parts, but take place inside of a consistent world. So let's say we've got your grand strategy and RTS idea. The length of battles is indeterminate, as it is in the real world, right? Nobody says, okay, we're going to Halabja, and, this is going to be done in exactly 2.5 hours. And even Crusader Kings 2, right? Like, the battles take place over several days because they're not just battles. They're entire sort of campaigns and maneuvers that these two armies are undertaking. So what would be really interesting is you have one element which is sort of very much the manager point of view. That could maybe be like the browser or something like that. And then you have an RTS game which is maybe played on the PC or something like that. And mobile could be, maybe mobile would be better for management, and the browser component. I mean, nobody plays browser games that much anyway, but the browser could be some other component. Maybe it could be, a high level command, and the RTS component is actually really focused on the individual level. But in this case, I'm always really fascinated by this idea of, people experiencing the same game world from very different perspectives. RTS versus, maybe a bit more of a grand strategy style or empire building style look. And I can't really think of any games that have done that. I mean, it would be very difficult to implement properly. But in the end, like, if you think of a coding point of view, like, all you need to know is what is the conclusion of this battle. And if it turns out that it's a really, really long battle, well, that just means that some part of your strategy is contingent on this very intense battle. It's not like that hasn't happened in history. Now, of course, the drawback with this is it potentially opens itself up to abuse, right? That somebody deliberately logs in to sabotage somebody's plans. But at that point, maybe it's, invitation in terms of who's part of an empire or something like that. I'm not 100% sure on how it would be done, but I think it would make for a very interesting gaming experience. And I hope, it's unlikely I would be the one to do something like that, but I hope somebody does do it if I don't wind up being the one who does. Anyways, I guess I better get back to the current Red strategy game. News has reached the court that claimants to my titles, Morabani, is hiring men for an attack against me. Oh dear, I hope he is not prone to accidents. Why can I not assassinate this guy? Well, I guess I'm just going to have to deal with the invasion when it comes. Not ideal, but that's the life of a rose. Yeah, like the solution I would have for that, Hallex, would just be that it's the commander that's available. Like, so if somebody's playing the PC version or something like that, there's a battle that comes up. Or what could also happen is, people are playing the battle version of the game. If there's a mismatch in terms of availability, you can maybe have like a library of past battles that, again, nobody needs to know the outcomes of them. But of course, the drawback with that is that if all of a sudden, if you're not dealing with live battles anymore, why not just use a random number generator? Because in the end, that's what's going to happen in terms of the outcome. So it's still it's very much it's definitely not something that's ready for production, but I still think it's an interesting enough line of inquiry that it's. I think it's one that somebody could profitably explore and come up with a really good title. Whether or not I'm the one to do that is another question. But I definitely think it would be worth somebody's time to consider that. All right, so one bishop is accusing another one of being a heretic. Now, I don't believe I get taxes from one. But I also don't benefit from this guy liking me anymore, so I'm sure he's not a heretic. Oh, I think I had prisoners I could ransom too. Nope. Exiles? Nope. Raging 10-year-old. Good to have you back. Why do all my bishops love the Pope? I have no idea. Oh, finally my steward does his job. Gives me 260 gold. That's a welcome development. I didn't know I had a daughter who was available. Why not? What did you miss? Slow going, to be completely honest. I'm a little bit of a long talker. I think everybody's kind of gotten used to the system talk at this point, though. We finished our conquest of sort of West Africa. We're going to be starting to cinch the noose on sort of the northern parts. We've gotten a little bit lucky that Bari is currently undergoing a revolution, which means that we'll be able to... Whoa. We're going to be able to take advantage of some holy wars. What title can I make? Kingdom of Tangier? I always like kingdoms. And I think I already had... So it was the Duchy of Fez. Oh, that's right. I don't have an owner for this yet. So in this current state, we're going to be able to take advantage of the fact that the sort of the most ready allies to these targets of holy war are going to they're either gonna lose their territories to the rebels, which is fantastic for me because that just means more CBs faster. Or alternatively, they're going to focus on crushing the rebels, which means they're not going to be affecting my holy wars. We're appointing misfits as bishops. Listen, I'm sure all of my bishops are much better behaved than the historical bishops. I'd almost put money on that. Okay, I really wish I knew what counted for Arabia. Oh god, I'm not going all that way over there. Wait a minute, how did I wind up with territory near Jerusalem? Is that really mine? Jesus. Well, I mean, I guess the good news is I can try and take Jerusalem, but good God. I don't even know where I'm getting this territory from anymore. Okay. Not crazy about that plan. I get 450 living dynasty members. Lots of babies. Oh, this is what I'm looking for. So the question is, do I want to do a de jure claim on Fez or do I want to do a holy war for Fez? In this case, I'm actually going to do... Oh, you know what? I have to do the holy war because it's the larger territory. Yeah. So we'll see how Bari reacts to this. I am actually going to focus on... My vassal might have hold. Yeah, it's entirely possible. Well, wait, they can't because I've got imperial laws, so they can't declare wars on their own. I actually haven't had as many affairs as you'd think, but we do make sure that we every rose must do their duty and make sweet, sweet love to some woman and sire a son. You have Catholic bunnies as family members, yeah. Okay, so I think the way we're going to handle this is we're going to declare holy war for Fez. We will let the Baris decide how they want to engage us, and immediately afterwards we go to war with Bari, regardless of the result. But it's the top of the hour, so before we actually cross swords, I am going to put up my sign. I know this is a little bit shorter than an hour, but I just want to get back on time for my breaks. Probably be the last one for the evening, and then we'll be back to finish off the. We won't finish off the Abbasid Empire, but we will finish off the conquest of West Africa and start focusing on as much as we can on the northern parts. So. I'll let you ponder that for the next 3 minutes, Raging 10-year-old. See you guys in a little bit. And what do I want to show? Let's go by religions. Enjoy this religious view of the world. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out. All right. There is a lot of chat going in here, so let's just take a look here. We've got... Tangri, what's with the Hindu in Turkmenistan? Oh, wanted to try something different. Sunni Anatolia. Did the Byzantines convert to Catholic? That's actually a good question. I believe they did, but I don't recall when they did that. The last pocket of Orthodoxy is in Kiev. All right. What else do we have here? It's also Roman culture, but it's impossible to play with as without cheats. It has no special retinue levies, but it has sick names for people. Thanks, Sir Wedgie. Was that more than 3 minutes? I'm sorry, guys. That's why it has the approximately 3-minute sign on it, because I do my best to keep punctual on some of the things, but I'm not always. I am not Mussolini. I do not make the trains run on time. All right, so I'll talk a little bit about my decision to go to war here. So the idea here right now is that Bari doesn't necessarily have a very strong military. I mean, it's 18,000 troops, but do keep in mind that my most immediately available forces that are ready for fighting are 11,000. So I want to make sure... The best thing that can happen to me is I use the retinues as far as I can before I start facing credible threats. So what I want to have happen in this case is, even if the Abbasids want to come and defend these territories, they either need to bring boats or they need to cross this region here. What's most likely going to happen is the Bari are going to walk, and the Abbasids are going to take the boats. Now, if the Bari want to walk, then they're going to have to go through the revolt, which means that their forces are going to be weakened, and Abbasid boats I can see well in advance. So the appeal of this particular strategy was to ignore Bari and kind of hope that the rebellion turns out to my favor. But even if it winds up that Bari winds up being united in the end, they'll still have served their purposes by distracting their forces so that I can hit them with full force at when the time comes. When playing as the Byzantines, you can mend the Great Schism and make Catholicism a heresy. It also converts almost half of Europe to Orthodox. You did it. Last Catholics were randomly in Cornwall. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to... I'm really enjoying the House Rose playthrough. Oh yeah, I guess I need to give somebody... Don't have any sons? Well, I have a son, but none that I want to give the land to. There's one really good branch that had some availability. Oh, this is a tough call. I think it goes to this son, then this son. Oh, but it's still one line, so I'll cancel that. And I'm mostly just trying to clean up the family tree so I don't have to look at so many layers. Okay, this is promising. So we're gonna give him Sigil Massa. I don't think there's any lower titles to give. Yeah. No, apparently there is. Since the last time I looked, there were 10 people born in my family. I didn't even pay attention, but I think you're right. It was 450 the last time, wasn't it? I actually want to look up House Garling now. I've married so many of... Oh, there we go. Wait a minute. Wait. I have a Tengri wife. Why did this happen? Alright. So first of all, we have more prestige than House Carling, and they only have 81 members. I mean, seriously. Actually, you know what? There's a logbook for this stuff. Ledger... 85 moral authority for the Sunni faith. Get out of here. Alright. Okay, well, obviously the Emperor is going to have the highest prestige. That's not surprising. What about my family? Okay, well, Britannia has the highest. I'm actually surprised how close it is. So Hispania is coming up pretty close behind me. I didn't even know Hispania was still a thing. Oh, the Bari Empire. That explains it. So we'll be able to take care of them relatively quickly. Because everybody assassinates the Carlings to get their lands. Good point. Wars, well... How many have we been involved in? Not as many as you'd think. That's interesting. I'm looking for... I thought there was one where it would tell you the different dynasties, like the different prestige. Because, like, I'm pretty sure most of these figures... Yeah, most of these guys are all roses. Alright, we won't put too much thought into that. We want to add more lands to our territory before we finish, so... Onward and upward. We're going to do a little bit more routine combat, I think. Oop, I'm going to be replacing a... Well, okay, so I'll deal with a couple of factions in that, but we're going to be doing some routine stuff here, so I'm going to talk a little bit about some interesting things that have been happening in the world of academia, which hopefully you guys... At the start of the Old Gods, you can practically inherit all of Francia and the HRE in a few decades. I did not know that. I've mostly been focused on areas in the United Kingdom. So, I think some of the future playthroughs, I'll maybe try things on mainland Europe, or like just otherwise kind of off the beaten track kind of playthroughs. Because I think it'd be fun to sort of test the diversity of this game. I feel like there's a lot that I haven't really touched. Or I might just go, you know, something big but conventional, like the like playing a Muslim, you know, a Muslim leader. What do you mean by the English melting pot? Yeah, I'm always a little nervous about factions. Like, I can normally keep a good handle on them, depending on things like my authority and my my army sizes, but those can vanish a little bit quicker than I care to consider. Have you played as Republics? I have played as Republics. I think they're really fun. I really like the idea of... Okay, so what I'm doing right now is actually very dangerous because I don't have that very good of a view of what's happening, but I have a chance to... I actually have a chance to get quite a bit done, so I'm going to risk it. Okay, so we've got a cruel, zealous, wroth, diligent, ill. I'm going to go for threaten, but that may not be the right call. I actually think I'm threatening my spy master. No, actually, I think we talked about this last stream. I was largely unaware of it at the time. Oh, paid off. Okay. So yeah, this is a little bit of a risky strategy because if something nasty comes across the border, I'm not going to notice it, and I'm basically just going to lose 5,000 troops. But it carries the advantage in being able to, siege the two counties at once. Yeah, that's right. 10-year-old, were you the one who was bringing that up last stream? Oh, cool. And we've got a CB. It's kind of expensive, but I mean, I'm sitting on a lot of gold right now, so we'll go for it, and then we'll decide whether or not we want to go after Bari or claim Navarra first. Navarra is definitely very... Well, you know what? I can actually probably do both. Is an infidel at your court, my liege, the court chaplain Bishop Osred said. I demand you burn the infidel at the stake. I will do no such thing. So I get a pretty hefty negative. So, like, basically what happens here, Aflasa has a negative 50 opinion of me and then dies. So I know that he dislikes me as he's burning at the stake. And the bishop's opinion increases by 10. If I say I'll do no such thing, there's basically going to be two vassals that have a negative 50 opinion of me. But these are not really big heavy hitters in my... I mean, this guy's 61 years old. He does have 100 opinion, but pretty much everybody loves the Pope, so I'm not losing a whole lot. Wolfgar also has a 100 opinion of me, so I can kind of afford to lose some of that. Yeah, so seeing that big, 26,000 stack is something that scares the hell out of me, but fortunately they are not part of this holy war. You always try to find yourself seeing if certain countries or dynasties succeed, even if it isn't me. Honestly, if I knew a way of having a 100% AI game, I would love to just let the thing run on its own in a whole bunch of different, different simulations and see how it all turns out. You have to see the whole world burn. I'll admit we're making better progress than I thought. I pretty much thought we would be grinding our gears for the rest of the playthrough in Spain, and we seem to have made some fairly respectable progress. All right, so I'm gonna assume that things are gonna calm down a little bit while we're doing the war. So an interesting news story came up. For those of you who are not of an academic temperament, one of the journals everybody kind of hopes to get published in is called Science. Now, it doesn't limit itself to one discipline. Definitely you will see lots of the natural sciences in there, but occasionally you will see an economics paper or one of the other social sciences appear. Now, there's an interesting one that had got published by UCLA. The first author was a PhD candidate, and then the other one was a full professor. And it had a fairly counterintuitive, but a very interesting thesis. Yeah, I'm not gonna put anything. I'm not gonna put like the kitchen sink into everything until the invasion finishes. But I've got a lot of reserves that I'm just kind of sitting on right now. So I figure if I'm committing anything more than sort of maybe these troops or maybe some of the African troops, I need to hold back. But what this paper basically argued was how people respond to kind of a message from somebody. So this was specifically dealing with sort of kind of an advocacy campaign for same-sex marriage. And the idea here was, if somebody, let's say knocks on your door and they say, hey, I'd like to talk to you about marriage equality, here's why I think it's a good idea, so on and so forth, kind of the effect that they would see and that they kind of expected would be there'd maybe be a positive influence from the conversation. So generally people were moderately persuaded by what was said, and then over time the support sort of waned out and the effect of having had a conversation with an activist dissipated. Now, what was so interesting about this particular paper was it said once you start focusing on the people who are actually gay, so somebody who's arguing for marriage equality, and they say, and by the way, I'm a homosexual. Or, I mean, it's not just that they're adding the information, they are genuinely. Apparently, what this paper had discovered was that not only was there the persuasive effect, but it was persistent. So, apparently it's not just the content of the message, but it's who's saying it. Bloomberg published this as, if you want to convince somebody about to become pro-life, you tell them that you've had an abortion, is the way they summed it up. Now, I don't believe that's anywhere in the paper. I think that's just their kind of paraphrase of it. So this is an extremely strange result, to say the least. You wouldn't necessarily think that somebody's participation in whatever they were advocating for would lead to a, again, this persistent effect. I'll just read the flavor text and then I'll talk about what happened to this paper. The Great Holy War for Bulgaria. The Tengri, it seems, do not favor... It never does. Does not favor the pagan faithful. After a string of defeats and setbacks, High Priest Belagunti has called off the Great Holy War for Bulgaria against Basileia Mithrophizka of the Byzantine Empire. Pathetic. So, needless to say, this is the kind of, unexpected outcome that that gets you a paper in Science. And now there's... Man. Alright. So the invasion has come. I just need to know where they're landing. Yeah. I'll let them get comfortable. So what happens to this paper? Obviously, when such a big one drops, especially if you're, a young graduate student and you're looking to, to make your own mark, you can take a paper, you can attempt to replicate it, and then add your own spin on things. This is something that I might do for political economy for my master's degree, but that's I'm going to worry about getting my micro and my macro taken care of before I do anything else. What's going on with these jokers? What side are these guys even on? Kazakh. Oh, damn it. Please, no. Oh, Karak. Okay, I'm good. Sorry, I really need to find my invader. This is absolutely nowhere near any of my territories. Alright, well, we'll just hang out for a little bit. So you attempt to replicate the results, and this is valuable to the progress of any science, be it a natural science or be it a social science, because we take particular notice of the results that keep coming up again and again. Obviously, statistical inference has created a set of tools that give us a fairly high degree of certainty of results. But the fact of the matter is that there's always that possibility, however remote, that there's some kind of an error. And so, of course, the more replicated examples you have of your study, the more confident you can be in its... Yeah. I'm perfectly happy that the pagans are all fighting each other. I'm a little worried about what's happening here, but I don't think I'm going to lose anything permanently. I only have one invasion. Yeah, that's been my experience. I didn't see them on the island to begin with, so I'll give it a little bit of time and then we'll see what comes up. The thing I'm dreading is like they go and take Iceland or something like that. So far it's an invasion without any real contest. Watch, all of a sudden I'm gonna like wind up losing territory or something like that and wonder where my empire went. I'm definitely gonna wind up losing Karak, but who is this guy's side on? Are they even laying siege? Well, they could only be laying siege to my territory, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'll give it a few more weeks and see what happens. Hooray, conversions. Alright. Excuse me. Give all my land away and swear fealty to the Teutonic Order. Not a chance. Do I want to get rid of the West African religion, or do I want to still working on the... I think I'm just going to get rid of the Sunni population first. I'd love to land the 20k Doom stack in the Holy Land, but I am mildly nervous about this invasion. But let's have some fun. Okay, because you didn't get disbanded, you can come too. Oh, you know what? I was careless. I should have hit the control button. I'm probably going to wind up losing some troops in the Holy Land. Nope. Looks like they're all already dead. Cool. Okay, so this paper. So the idea here is that when you have a big exciting paper like this, you try and build on it. You see what you can do to contribute. And again, this is one, beneficial to the advancement, but also two, beneficial to the original paper in that it continues to confirm its findings, or in the situations where it doesn't confirm the findings, you can start asking more pointed questions about, oh, you know what, I'm not going to do an attack on Navarra because I don't have the manpower. I think they're still sitting at about 20k troops. Well, 14, but still not something I want to risk. I want to have my full force. So we'll sit and watch this for a little bit, and then we'll head back to the island. Yeah. spy master doesn't like me very much. So these are a pair of Stanford master's students that are looking at this paper. And they start noticing irregularities. And, you know, no individual one is quite enough to condemn the paper, but the number of inconsistencies are finally starting to grow. And so they contact the co-author. They say, hey, listen, this is what we're finding. You know, can you explain some of this? Can you tell us where the data comes from? Okay, you know, 30 is enough. Maybe it was a bad idea to bring these guys along. Let's get some boats. And at this point, the co-author confronts the PhD student about the source of his data, and like, you're getting stories like, I accidentally deleted the original data files. So the story in science winds up getting retracted. Now, I mean, the interesting thing, there are definitely some people who are saying, and rightly in my opinion, that, you know, you shouldn't let the court of public opinion condemn this guy. Now, the fact of the matter is that he did say that he constructed this survey based on, you know, a grant. He used this agency and things like that. The fact that the methodology that he described is not the same as what he described in the paper is already a big problem, right? You don't just go and report a different method from what you actually used. I accidentally deleted, you know, this revolutionary sample, especially when the company that they would have used to do this sample actually said that there's no such deletion. They keep track of that kind of stuff. But the takedown, like, so what was interesting, I believe the original paper is behind a paywall because it's science, but I think the paper that raised the concerns is actually available, and it's really interesting to wind up looking at. Yeah, the Teutonic Order is spread around Europe, but I'm still, like, I basically only like going into unfair fights. Most of the time that I've wound up losing a lot of troops have been from the fights where I kind of go in half-assed. It's probably a little overly cautious, but I don't want to turn around and find out I need to buy all my retinues again. So I really went off the rails on the paper. The one thing I would encourage you, I don't recall the original paper's name in Science, but I know the PhD student who's currently in some potential trouble over this. His name is Michael LaCour. So I think if you look for Michael LaCour Science, you can probably see. You can probably at least find out. First of all, you can find a newspaper article that will sort of describe it a little bit better than I have. But if you can find the I think like the takedown paper was called like Inconsistencies in LaCour or something like that. But it's an interesting read. It's kind of heavy on the stats, but it's really interesting to see how they were able to look at this study and say, we know this is the part where they faked stuff, and here's the paper that they probably used. So, yeah, the retinues are currently used up in Bari. The abbot of a nearby monastery has asked you to make a donation towards the repairs in the monastery church. Sure.
I would never want to belong to
Potato Spartan, thank you very much for the follow. I don't believe I've said hi to you in chat yet. If you'd like to make yourself known, feel free to say something in there. I'd love to thank you personally, but I really appreciate you hitting the follow button. It's been a little bit of a scatterbrain cast. I wanted to talk about the paper, and then I got stuck with all the Crusader Kings War stuff. Silly me. You've almost stopped using levies because you love retinues. Well, I mean, the retinues are definitely good in the sense that your vassals stop getting pissed off to act that you're actually calling in the obligation that they have to you. But there is something nice about having somebody else's meat at the front lines. So yeah, anyways, the abbot of a nearby monastery has asked that you make a donation towards the repair of the monastery church. Surely it wouldn't hurt to ensure that that you are in the monks' prayers. God will know that I support the church. I always say yes to this stuff. I mean, I don't want to lose 5 piety. I mean, it's easy for me as an emperor right now. 1,500 gold or wealth. But more importantly, like, again, the game is scored on prestige and piety, and you're always looking for ways to convert gold into prestige and piety. Money means nothing in this game. It's just simply the means through which you obtain, Whoa, 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 whoa. So this is not a bad engagement right now. I mean, the Abbasids managed to get a sneaky fleet in on me. I'm going to have to give up the siege over here, but as long as I can get the other 5,000, these guys should be fine. I'm outnumbered by them, but I have the morale advantage, so hopefully I can string this out long enough to get my reinforcements in. It's going to be touch and go for a while, though. Yeah, this is bad. We're going to lose. Come on, boys! Oh, no. I think we just... I should actually stop this. Yeah. Okay, well, my 30,000 stack is in a very convenient place, but that sucks because I just lost half my retinue in that. I'm perfectly happy with Lurk. I mean, I think I said this last stream too. My experience of chat usually is not to be... I mean, I make certain exceptions. So like Alaskan Savage, I tend to be pretty active in this chat. W. Shan's stream, I tend to say stupid stuff. But my experience of Twitch generally is not to be that active in chats. So... it's really fantastic to be able to talk with you guys because that gives me, it gives me something to talk about. It gives me some energy. But I sort of understand that my job here would be, in the end, if somebody is supposed to derive entertainment from these casts, in the end, it's my job to supply that, right? It's not, I should never expect people to be bringing something for me to riff off of. You suck. You get it. But yeah, I mean, the fact that people are watching is still something that gets still a little odd to try and wrap my head around sometimes. But to have people show support and things such as follows and that, even when that number gets a little bit bigger than I ever assumed it. Like I can remember when Black Dahlia really pushed us over 100. The fact that people still hit that follow button means quite a bit. So even if I don't get to see people in chat, it's always nice to have them watching. Hey, DJ Cruel Crusader. Well, the other thing to remember, too, is it's a matter of perspective. Like, I've been spending a lot of time in chats with 3 to 0 viewers. But, again, the number is not quite as important as the support. I think I've been most interested in and very flattered that it's the same people who keep coming back, so... Hit the follow. Well, again, these things happen. A really good example that I can think of is there's a guy on Team Panda who, again, if you're looking for recommendations, I knew I threw a lot out there, and again, these are people who I really enjoy watching myself, so I hope you guys do too. But there's a guy called Weebro. Now, Weebro has a wonderful screen presence. He's got a great attitude. He plays fun games. And the conversation I had with all of the mods when we were evaluating him for Team Panda was, why in the world doesn't this guy have more viewers? So that did a nice little reality check for me in terms of saying, is like, here is a stream that I say, this is everything that I would want to see in a Twitch stream. And you know, the numbers are not necessarily commensurate with what I think that channel deserves. So I always figure, you know, I suffer my resource constraint, right? I only have so much bandwidth, and so I'm limited in terms of the video quality that I can put on. So if there's somebody out there who's got a stream that is really fun to be in and the video quality is spot on, you know, I'll be very happy to get my 12 or now 11 views. You hit follow twice? Nice. One to follow, one to unfollow. Beautiful. Anyways, large merchant caravan from distant lands has arrived at the gates of your stronghold. Their leader, a jovial man of massive girth, pleads with you in a strange accent to grant them shelter from the elements for the night. Very well, let them in. As evening falls, the fat merchant sits by the fire and regales you and the rest of the court with stories of his travels. His appetite seems insatiable, but as you do not wish to prove a poor host, you order the servants to bring in a second serving. Tell us more about the mythical realms of Hindustan. Dawn breaks and the caravan prepares to move on. The merchant insists on giving you a gift as thanks for your great hospitality. He shouts a terse command in a foreign language, and a young man comes forward. This eunuch will serve you well, the merchant says. His loyalty to you as new master shall be beyond reproach. It's very kind, I accept your gift. Really slow progress against the Abbasid Empire, but that shouldn't be that surprising because they're so large. We'll get the... So what's going to happen now is the retinue is going to clean the... I really don't like having boats out like this because it's such a drag on my resources, but to be able to have the 30,000 troops kind of cut up the holdings should get me over my struggles, and then the retinue can just chase these guys down. And actually, while I'm at it, because I'm rich, let's see what we can spend to replace. Let's add some pikemen, because that also gives me some bows. I think I'll just alternate between pikemen and shields. Or heavy infantry, rather. Fat merchant's gonna eat all your food. Come on, Wedgie! This is the House of Rose. There's constant food here. Where are they headed? Seville. All right. I love that emote, Wedgie. See, like I said, this boat is basically bleeding money, but I've got so much of it that it's not that big of a deal. I actually think I'll just move this thing back, and that way I can get my new retinues in place. If I'm gonna pay for 500 ships, I might as well get some use out of them. Look at my dynasty. 463. We've had 3 babies since we last looked. If you're wondering why it takes so long to process a turn every once in a while, it's because there's 463 characters that need to be simulated in the House of Rose. I guess I should, while I'm paused here, let's take a look and see if York's still being a problem. Nope. So we've got a 33% strength faction. By the way, again, because there's new faces here, I do apologize for the menu bar. This is something that I screwed up. Oh, here we go. We found the host, and it looks like they're starving themselves to death in my land. So let's... How do we want to handle this, actually? I think I'm going to finish my sieges here first. It's probably not the smartest move, but since when have I actually done anything intelligent in this game? Holy man came to court today to talk about matters of faith, but it soon became clear he held rather unorthodox views. Being a zealous defender of the church at all times, I believe I did the right thing when I gave the order to imprison the blasphemous pagan who dared criticize my faith and my church. Deus vult! I was still shaking with rage at the pagan's blasphemous words when Bishop Osred took the opportunity to whisper, "Good work," in my ear. Why is my character's wife a pagan? Well, you know, I want Catholic in the streets and Tengri in the streets. The stream is brought to you by Apple and the wayward spirit of Steve Jobs. Yeah, so the menu bar is just a matter of, it's not going to be an elegant solution, but just, you know, a little something that I can cover this with. But to say I forgot about graduation would be disingenuous, but there is definitely the experience of thinking that something is going to be in the future when in fact it's approaching this week. So I didn't quite appreciate that I was going to be occupied this week in the way that I was, and that translated into me putting less time into the stream administration than I had intended. So I still owe Zombie Nerd the Steam group, which I'll be doing when the stream concludes, and then in terms of the overlay, like I don't want just anything to pass. Like I would like to put some effort so that it's not an eyesore as bad as this. So don't know when I can do that. If you were a child, I would say pedophiles, creepy bishop. It was a different time. Should demand conversion from your wife, then assassinate her to get a new pagan wife and repeat. How old is she, actually? 48? Oh. Would it work? No. Woman! Oh, I would get a divorce. Well, you know, the assassins didn't work on the, Assassins didn't really work on the invader, but let's see if I can get a hot young... Whoa! Sorry, I shouldn't be ransoming these prisoners. I'm at war. That's going to make my war score go up. I will assassinate my wife, though. I think we need someone younger. The heavens can teach us much, and you've been engrossed in the science of astronomy for the past several days. You've learned the names of the celestial bodies and the various constellations, and how to use the stars for navigation. Your learning has improved. So it's just a comet, not an omen of the end times. Gain one learning. Emperor Wonderbar of Britannia has fulfilled the ambition to improve learning. By the way, I love the fact that if System Monk's character has a nickname, e.g. Gentle, the character's a pedophile. Emperor Wonderbar does not have a subtitle. I will note, by the way, I love the fact that chat has given so many trolly names that even when it's a game-generated son, we still get stuff like Wonderbar or like Wonderbar Son or things like that, so... Alright, what do we want him to learn next? It actually took forever for him to get that ambition. I think what we'll do now is just for the cheap prestige and improve intrigue and hope that we get that up in time. Need fresh meat to keep bishops alive. Speaking of which... I love free investiture, but man, it is a pain in the ass to appoint bishop. Like, what I wish it would do is it would just inform you when there's a vacancy open. I mean, it's if you have free investiture, presumably this is the sort of thing your advisors would let you know. It's like, hey, you gotta appoint a new bishop. But maybe that's just crazy talk from me. Let's squander our military advances and put it into heavy infantry. To the narrow-minded clown Wunderbar, may Allah destroy your house. I accept paying ransom for the safe return of Walia Fagira. And this was an Abbasid, so... I don't seem to have lost war score for it, though, so got lucky. Wunderbar is a good boy, yeah. Well, good boy who's gonna assassinate his wife because he's looking for a younger childbearing woman, but, you know, we all have our flaws. Probably. But I'd rather not take the minus 40%. I mean, if I don't wind up killing her, it's not the end of the world. Just never get a bishop to educate your children? Well, I mean, it depends on whether or not I need their tax revenue. I'm not about to judge a bishop if I can make use of their money. I am going to need to finish these sieges of the Abbasids soon. The invaders... The invaders going to make some pretty good progress while I'm stuck in Africa. At age 70, Hyuela Carling, no idea what her relationship was. Ah, Mom. My mom's dead. Bishop Aelfsiege Langolin let everybody know about my plot to see Empress Berta of Britannia dead during a drunken stupor at a local tavern. I should never have included that drunken blabbermouth into this into a plot this delicate. My reputation is ruined. Negative 100. So we're sleeping in separate rooms, I think. Oh, sorry, 10-year-old. I try to keep the gate at a point where I don't do where I don't hurt people. I failed you. Engelbert of the Tengri Uprising has declared the Second British Tengri Revolt on Emperor Wunderbar of Britannia. Tengri rebels have risen up in Crane, led by a militant shaman. Where is Crane? Okay, well, where I need my troops to be, so... Oh, that's a lot of them, actually. This is such a hard determination to make, because really we just need... We're at 90% war score. Oh, this is the right call to make, though, because they're moving troops in. So I think what we'll do is... greet them with 20,000 of our own. Damn it, we scared them off. My wife probably started that uprising. Yeah. Let's face it, I wasn't exactly undeserving. I mean, as a whole, we're not in too bad of a shape militarily. It's just a matter of getting them to the right places. I really don't want to take my retinue to Eastern Europe because in the end I'm going to use the retinue in all these African conflicts. So what I think I'll do here, actually, because I've got a fairly recent win on a large Abbasid force, maybe I'll just leave the retinue to take out the rest of this fort, if I have any way of splitting them out. I'll just let them chase them down first. If someone hates you, give them your children. That's what I usually do for education. What is this guy's traits? Lustful, cruel, wrath. Blackmail him. Though I curse your name, I will comply with your unfair demand. Just keep this sensitive information to yourself. Alright. I wish there was a convenient way of extracting the... Ah, split off the special troops. That's how I can extract the retinue. So I think at this point I'll just let the retinues take care of the rest of the sieges, and I need to get my main force into Europe. Also, this used to be a 30 stack, not 20, so we're definitely losing quite a bit to attrition. Alright, off to find fame and fortune in Eastern Europe. And again, looks like most of the stuff has actually resolved itself, curiously. I don't actually know what the information was. I'm wondering if it's because he was lustful. Oh, that really sucks that I have to start that siege over again. My co-conspirator Bishop Osred has procured a poisonous viper and sends word that it will soon dig its fangs into Empress Berta. Just don't point that thing at me. My liege, I write to you with bad news. My steward screwed up. And of course, Bishop Aelfred apparently is still getting the memos. Oh, and we won that war, so let's just give peace a chance. Alright, so let's start by making new vassals. This is mostly just so the vassals will be loyal to me. And then I pass it off to my children. I think Fez had 4 territories. Oh wait, no, we already have Fez. Damn it, what duchy am I creating? It is Fez. Alright, so unfortunately, it looks like this area is still united. But how are they doing for military? 11,000, so my retinue's not quite at the point where it can sort of face roll over them, but I'll wait till the... Well, I couldn't declare war on them anyway, but I'll at least wait until we've sort of dealt with our rebel problems. We might even be able to get a grand tournament in, because this war's about to be lost, and these are my rebellions and invasions. So if we can get a tournament in, that's a nice little shot in the arm to prestige as well. Also repair some of the reputation damage that these failed assassinations have been causing. Your best character married his great-great-granddaughter. Well, I think I already told you guys the story of the son that was cuckolded by his dad, and the bastard was legitimized, then assassinated him and inherited the kingdom. The guy who was 70 had an affair with 4 different Italian princesses. I married your sons to. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there is a side of me that does really like trying to figure out optimal strategies and sort of the best way to do things inside of games like this. But I think all this backstory that you get to generate through the things that happen as random events honestly provide me enough entertainment in the game that I've never really explored all of the strategic elements, just because I have so much fun with these wacky stories of just these absolutely, oversexed, crazy, demon-possessed rulers that have affairs with their sons' wives on a regular basis. Like, who needs Viagra when you have Italian princesses? Success! The snake performed its duty with aplomb and pumped Empress Berta full of its deadly venom. It slipped away into the night, and the guards are now too busy contending with a string of lethal snake attacks to search for those responsible. I could kiss that snake! Well, maybe not. Alright, time to go wife shopping. I've got a few Carlings available. 24, 23. Lustful. Yeah, works for me. And she wants to get married. Yes, the anaconda killed the wife. Jesus. Your best female ruler seduced the Abbasid Caliph, Byzantine Emperor, and the HRE Emperor. That woman got things done. You want to go wife shopping too? Well, Wedgie, what you gotta do, see, in Facebook, most people don't know about this feature, but you just click the Find Characters button, and you have all of these things. So, I'm looking for a woman. Well, you know what? I'm not that fussy. She can be in prison. I don't want her to be married. Oh, you know what? I don't want to search my realm. I want to search the world. So, can't be married. I'm okay if she's a ruler. Like, I understand that women are empowered and that they can do jobs just as well as men. Well, I mean, I know I'm not that big of a catch, so I'm going to say any religion too. And culture. Yeah, you know what? We'll say any culture too. Definitely want an adult. And doesn't have to be a member of a great house. Well, you know what? We'll say has to be a member of a great house. So let's sort by age. All right, so we've got the 16-year-old scholarly theologian Muslim. You know what? Let's just go straight for the lustful ones. Where is that burning fire? Ah, here we go. So here we have a 16-year-old bohemian who is lustful, a lunatic, and Catholic. Eh? I mean, she'll scream out things in her own invented language. Who wouldn't want that? To the righteous pilgrim Wunderbar, may you live in harmony and contentment. I accept your suggestion that Wunderbar and Instrud get married. Oh yeah, so who did I wind up marrying in the end? Charismatic negotiator, gluttonous, arbitrary, craven, lustful, which is the only trait I really care about. 24 years old, so still able to have kids, and no allies. And actually likes me. Basically, Wedgie, it's a slightly more selective version of Tinder. Only 3 kids, you're a failure to the Rose Dynasty? I don't know, 3 kids... honestly, for the last few rulers, the rulers haven't actually been that prolific. I think I'm going to ditch these boats. I don't see any reason to use them. I just got to get my strength back up, and we'll be able to wipe out these two camps. You're surprised the Carlings are still alive? They're like a parasite. Okay, so the Holy War... Man, I got really lucky about that one. It is still held by Muslims. No? It's in Catholic hands. Interesting. And it's a rose. Well done, my son. Well done. Yeah, so the rulers actually tend not to have that many kids, it turns out. But all the other roses do sufficient boning to keep the family alive. You'll notice I absolutely am not caring about crossing rivers. That's just because I have such a massive troop advantage that... Oh, another raving mob of Tengri infidels have risen up in Crane, reinforcing the ongoing uprising. Okay, that is a little terrifying. Oh, nice. They're fighting each other. So we're going to enjoy the popcorn. We're going to catch up the remnants. And we're going to we're going to thank the rebels for being the stupidest people on the planet. Please keep fighting each other. Alright, finally I get to contribute. And now we basically chase them all over the place. That was some of the most obscene luck I have had in this game. It was actually bordering on the time when the Italian... Like, so we had this really strong English count. This is before... Like, this is when we were a duke. There's this really strong English count that obviously wanted to have a duchy of his own, and basically was just getting ready to, you know, to completely take over everything that we owned. And, you know, we asked Italy to come in, and, like, I'm pretty sure there's a VOD of it somewhere. It's, like, one of the earliest playthroughs on the Rose series. And, like, I'm just constantly whining about it's like, man, the Italians, you know, I've done so much for them, they never show up. And, like, just at the last minute, a million boats come by, and just this, you know, 50,000 troop legion, you know, lands on English shores and just, you know, smacks that count off of the face of the earth. It was, you know, one, I was very apologetic to the Italians, and two, I was counting my lucky stars. So, quite the adventure, to say the least. Now, Haliz, I don't believe I've talked to you yet today. Thanks for stopping by. You're a complete noob, but earlier you had a ruler with 90% fertility from events, and his wife had 85% fertility from events as well. They both had multiple lovers, and children were coming out like a factory. See, this is, I was going to say, easily the very active sex lives of the rulers is as a major selling point of Crusader Kings for me. Now, I'm actually a little bit curious about the percentage of fertility. Now, is that something you can actually see inside of the character screen, or is this a feature in Way of Life that I'm missing out on? Or is it just that you calculated the additional fertility from the events that you had? I'm also going to take the opportunity to do a grand tournament before I fight the Mohammedans. Also gives me a chance to buy and sell some prisoners. Mostly sell. Ooh. Look at that gold. I will very happily exile him for 3,000. Everybody's getting new universities. Literally every penny of that is going to go to infrastructure, so let's start with a capital. Well, sorry, I should clarify, it's all revenue raising. Oh, sorry. You know what? I was missing out on a couple messages here. So you've got, I had a update on your mod pack. It lets you marry 14, 15-year-old people. Because 16, you know, that's just a little too old for some people, right? Way of Life is amazing. You'll get many lovers and children. Looking forward to that. The events came back to back, and there was another 25 in 3 days, another 10. Get Way of Life, become a seducer, and secures the Rose Dynasty to power. Way of Life is actually on sale on the Humble store right now, but the discount isn't quite compelling enough for me. I have a feeling it'll go lower in the Steam sale. If it doesn't, I'll just pick it up at that price. But I think Way of Life will be really cool to have on the next playthrough. Although, I mean, it may be that this playthrough finishes before the Steam sale, at which point, you know, I'll have to make do with, you know, the odd glance across the banquet table and some woman attracted to my power. Okay, we got lots that we can do in that keep. Looks like I've been neglecting my castle wall. Well, that or the technology's finally spread. It's nice to steal somebody's possessions and put it towards your infrastructure. Right. I'll just keep the remaining amount because there's obviously more stuff I can do on those castles. So let's wait for the tournament. Alright, to the Anglo-Saxon Boar Wonderbar. Damn your seventh grandfather. I accept paying your ransom for the safe return of Mayor Khalil. To the Craven Coward Wonderbar. May you be sewn up alive in the belly of a dead camel. I accept paying your ransom for the safe return of Shifta. Keep the insults coming, guys. What else do we have in the prisons? Well, nothing that anybody wants. How about people who are mine? Well, I can release him for sure. To the Craven Boar Wonderbar. You child of a mangy dog, I accept paying your ransom for the safe return of Naiwella. Come on, let's get this tournament done. I also need to claim territory from the Knights Templar. It's time to let the tournament begin, and for the next 2 months to let all show their martial brilliance. This is the time. Oh, God. The Righteous Pilgrim Wonderbar, peace be with you. We request that you honor your obligation and answer the call to arms against Sultan Ali II of Abyssinia, declining would cost us 100 prestige. If we accept, we'll be part of the Second Abyssinian Holy War for Jerusalem. So in this case, I will wait for the Grand Tournament to finish, and then I will accept. So, most unfortunate that Duke Aedwig, who is a member of the House of Rhode, has been tragically wounded during the tournament. But not maimed, so. Just as long as he can keep having babies. Baron Bjorthric of Aelf has been crowned the winner of my grand tournament. He truly deserves it. Sigbert Ua. Why aren't Roses winning this? He won second place. And another non-Rose has got his third. Screw you all. Apparently the Roses are lovers, not fighters. So I thought there was supposed to be some closing. There we go. The tournament is over, and now it's time to bask in the glory. So, glorious event. Let's do the war thing. And is this... Oh wow, there's a lot of places I can take. Let's start with Navarra. Well, okay. Wait till the retinue's in position, then we take Navarra. Because that's really the only claim that dies with my ruler, so I kind of need to... I really should have been on top of that a little bit sooner, but I did also have invasions and rebellions to deal with, so... Assassins are a constant danger that every ruler may have to face. To prepare, you've decided to expand the size of your personal bodyguard. Any would-be Emperor Slayer will have to fight through them first. They shall follow me everywhere. Gain 1 intrigue. Oh, to the narrow-minded bigot Wonderbar, you child of a mangy dog, this is a formal declaration of war. Our armies shall meet on the field of battle. So I suspect this is about Jerusalem. Or Ultra Juderan. Good lord. Okay, so what are their numbers? 153,000. This is basically an all-hands-on-deck fight. Alright. You're all gonna hate me, but it's a little bit after midnight, which was the time I was planning on finishing the stream. So with a name like Rose, you thought they would be fighters? Good point, Zombie Nerd. On this bombshell, I think this is actually a really good time to save. I think I know what my strategy for this is going to be, but I'm actually going to think about it a little bit. My promise to you, I do not play this game, or this specific save, usually this game actually, but I do not play this specific save except when it's live on stream. Yeah, they've always had 150,000 troops. So, that's right, Trash Talk Noobs, cliffhanger. So, that is it for me tonight. I did promise Zombie Nerd 47 that I was going to make the Steam group tonight. So, what I'm going to do, I usually do my sign-off. We'll talk a little bit about the state of the world. And move on. And then I'd love to give a host at the end of the night, pass on the love. And there has been a lot of that tonight. A lot of people active in chat, a lot of new faces. As always, there have been a couple of extra follows. I can remember the time when a follow was a special thing that happened once every month. You guys are absolutely fantastic. I know I say that a lot, but that is because I mean it. We had some really wonderful representation from a lot of very great streamers, particularly Kite270, who gave us a host tonight. Somebody who has never failed to be in chat and just, again, is branching out and seems to be growing his own stream as well. So it's really nice to see a few people from the stream actually taking up the call themselves. I get a lot out of this, and that is entirely because of you guys. So definitely, as always, thank you very much for that. I really enjoy playing Crusader Kings 2, and I like the fact that there is a dedicated enough community to come in and keep me company while I do this strange little game and play it poorly. Just taking a look at the state of the world to remind us of where we came from. We had the humble beginnings as the Count of Westmoreland. We've expanded to Britannia, Iceland, taking over the Western world. We're about to do some work on the our Christian brothers, but it seems that 150,000 screaming Sunnis really want our holdings near Jerusalem, and that will not stand. So, looks like on the getting close to the termination date, 1396, it looks like my wish for a Battle of Armageddon will actually happen. We'll meet the Sunnis on Megiddo, and we will finally see which God is right. Oh, Akakadak. Great. I wasn't sure if you were still here. So, anyways, next stream, I will make sure to be a little bit more on time, maybe put out a tweet ahead of time so nobody misses any of the fireworks. But if you guys can just give me a second here, I'd love to take a moment to look at my... Oh, Kite 2... Sorry, you know, I called you Kite 270, not 260. Thank you so much for the host tonight. That meant a lot. And I love to see that your channel's doing so well so early. So, it's all really for you people filing out. Completely understand it. If you can just give me a second here. I think I'm going to do... I know I tend to do this guy... Oh, you know what? We've got Black Dahlia online. So... Black Dahlia is playing City Skylines, a game I don't personally own, but I actually am really interested in. So what I'm going to do... I don't normally have any kind of like a raid call or something like that. Usually it says the Dahlias send their regards, so if you want to mess with him, feel free to jump into his chat and say the Dahlias send their regards. I will give you his link. But yeah, Black Dahlia in particular is somebody who definitely deserves some attention. He is the person who really, he browbeat his channel to keep following me until we reached 100 viewers. He is a fantastic guy. I do co-streams with him a couple times. We do Men of War Assault Squad. And very rarely has there been some overlap between my stream and his, so I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to host Black Dahlia. I hope you guys enjoy yourself, and I've not actually seen him play City Skylines, so I'm looking forward to this as well. Finally, again, as always, thank you guys for coming. Well, thank you guys and girls for coming in and watching this. This has been an absolute blast, and I'm really happy that we got a chance to end on a cliffhanger. Finally, I promised that I was going to create a Steam group, so while I am waiting in Dahlia's chat, and when I turn off the stream, I'm going to set about making that right away. I will post the link in chat, then I'll post a tweet for it. But Dahlia definitely deserves your attention. So on that note, I'm going to shut up. Have a great night, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you either next week if you're for Crusader Kings 2, seeing you over the weekend if you want to watch some of the non-grand strategy stuff. And whatever you do, be safe. Have a great weekend. See you guys.